Perfect.
All right.
You sound pretty good on through Discord, so I imagine it's probably gonna be pretty good.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I think I'm gonna have to sit closer to my microphone.
Alrighty. Let's do the clap when you're ready.
Sounds good.
Beautiful.
Alrighty. 3, 2, 1. Alrighty. Welcome to No Blocks, a Flesh and Blood podcast, brand new, off the Flesh and Blood line, the factory line. How do we want to call that?
I have no clue personally.
Off the flesh and blood cutting floor.
Yeah, cutting floor. There you go, because they're cutting
There,
card
that's an old
shapes.
timey reference.
Yeah.
Podcast named after some in-game interaction in Flesh and Blood number 78,
Yes.
episode 1.
Episode 1. Yes.
Episode 1.
So today we're going to introduce ourselves so you know who we are as we go through this journey in a Flesh and Blood podcast and talk about a lot about the Commoner League we're all in and some other stuff in Flesh and Blood. So to introduce myself, if you're unfamiliar with me, I go by Fortuan, but I'm also known as Cham, which is my real nickname. I do play Flesh and Blood. I'm going to be partaking in the Commoner League. I think all three of us are. And, we'll get more into ourselves a little bit later on. And I'm also the one editing. So if you got problems with how this sounds and is edited together, you can complain at me. And then welcome Murph. How you doing?
I am good. Thank you for having me. I am Murph is my real life nickname and my Discord handle.
Okay. Yeah, that makes it simple.
It's easy to keep track of.
Yeah.
I think I'm also aliased somewhere elsewhere as Fudginator. Also, as I'm known in some online spaces, and that comes from a nickname I've had my gamer tag since I was 8.
Oh wow, yeah.
It's an old one that has stuck around.
I was 16, I think, when I got my gamer tag of Fortuan, and I'm that on everything, like Discord, Reddit, PlayStation, Nintendo, like everything, like even
Just stick around.
Yeah.
I used to be Tarkus in a lot of places, and you can still see remnants of that in a lot of my public profiles.
Okay. All right.
I was gonna fully switch that over at some point, or make fully updated profiles. But
it's hard to switch.
It's hard to switch, especially when I was that since I was 13.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I need something that feels more right. This is to me when I was 13.
Right. So leading on that, welcome Arafel, fellow co-host.
Hi. I'm Arafel online in real life. You could just call me Yvette. I play Flesh and Blood at a very respectably subpar level. More of a blitz person generally, but getting ready to partake in this Commoner League that our friend Smithel has set up. I am listening very closely and waiting in the wings the decks other people are playing and trying to devise scientifically what is most ready to ruin their days.
Oh boy, I picked a deck and I just built it willy nilly, and Murph was actually giving me tips to do a better deck because, well, I don't know if you looked at it, Arafel. Murph and I week 1 are against each other.
Yeah,
very first match.
My first match is against someone that I know already and that I've played with, and they actually gave me the reason to switch off of the first deck that I made.
Oh wow!
I made Azalea as my first deck because I thought, okay, there's no Command and Conquer. There's no way they can get my Arsenal. And then I learned that the Arsenal just is the problem. And I think I talked about this last time, but we had this one interaction where I played a Whisper of the Oracle. I found an arrow that was kind of subpar, so I read the glide path and I opt again after I bottom it. My friend just goes, "Really digging, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's kind of how this deck goes most of the time." And I was like, "Well, this sucks, but I want the on hit, so I'm just gonna play Bravo." And building Bravo is really easy because it was my first deck, so it was very easy for me to understand the card pool and know what was good and what was kind of a sleeper card at the common rarity.
Yeah,
I think Bravo's also good because it's just got a lot of Pummel's just too good.
Well, Pummel's really good. You can just
Yeah.
include a bunch of those, and it's free pressure that builds off a thump, which is a really good card, especially when you're playing a lot of auras.
Yeah.
You play auras mostly, not because they're amazing cards, just because they're extra free value and they turn on Anothos and allow you to hit for 6 after you blocked.
Yeah.
And then there's also Stonewall Confidence, which I haven't verified this fully, but the text kind of implies would work with Unmovable and just make it like, oh, Bravo Mirror, I'm in a Stonewall Confidence. This costs
Right.
3 or more, so therefore you're looking at an 8-block wall.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, actually, I had to read Stonewall Confidence very very closely lately because I have been trying very hard and failing to do so, become a level 1 judge. Um, so I don't know if you
I I mean, do you know anything about that I didn't pick up on?
no, not really. It's the question was like basically do a bunch of math based on Stonewall Confidence. And
Stonewall Confidence is a really crazy card. I think it's not where it wants to be in classic constructed, which is I guess the main format you'd want to play. I guess a Guardian hero and maybe Blitz. Like old him wants to run too many elemental actions, so you're really only running it in Bravo.
Yeah.
And right now the current Bravo plan, you're playing a lot of things that don't cost 3 or above.
Now, I'm
Which
not really good with deck techs, but wouldn't it also be in the Valda aura that's been gaining some steam?
Well, the problem with it most of the time in me, I guess messing around with it is that it relies on cards
It
that
does,
cost
yeah.
3 or more.
Yeah.
And if you're running mostly auras, most of those cost 2. So
Right.
Yeah, you're
even when
right.
you're trying to turn on Blessing of Deliverance as someone who's built the Valda deck and put it together, even turning on Blessing, even getting a single hit on it can be very awkward at a lot of times. So I
Sure.
just, as much as I think Stonewall Confidence is this like really insane sleeper card, it doesn't slot in. Commoner is different because Commoner, you're running a lot of cards to supplement game plans. It's a lot how like you'll get like a pre-con blitz deck or I guess like a commander deck in Magic, and it's like here's a card that it's like it does a really good effect from some card that's $1 million from 10 bajillion years ago, but it's like 7 mana and it takes like 4 turns to turn on.
Right.
In Commoner, you could do a lot of stuff like that. Like for
Yeah.
For
example,
sure.
my list currently, the game plan is turn on Anothos, Fatigue, because every deck in the Commoner format is a freaking aggro deck. So
Yeah.
if you just have a bunch of blues to pay for your Null Rune
Yeah.
and more defense reactions than they think you're actually running, it kind of just balances itself out. You could block a lot of damage, and even stuff like Unmovable that doesn't work in every matchup, because there's no sideboards in Commoner. It
Yeah.
Yeah.
turns on Anothos, Slogism. You don't even play a lot of the time. It blocks for 2, but it costs 3. So Stonewall Confidence makes it a 4 or a 5 block. It's still a good card to have there. And it's gas to like turn on a thump or something like that. The idea is that like even if the cards aren't great, even if you're not even playing all of them and you're blocking with a lot of them most of the time, everything turns on something else, and there's always a reason something is there.
Okay.
Does running Bravo rather than Oldhim give you
Um,
a better shot at the fatigue?
I it means I'm dealing with one kind of fatigue, which
Right.
is very simple to manage, and I think a lot of the decks are very simple and straightforward. I definitely think it's going to struggle into some of the arcane barrier matchups and having to slow down some of those, since it definitely blocks very
Yeah.
tall, very narrowly. But
Right.
also, in just all the Commoner games I played with people, the very tall aggro strategies are just very popular.
Sure.
On top of
Yeah.
that, you're running your Sync Belows, you're running your Fate Foreseeans, and those might seem like they're off the plan at first. They're like, oh, they don't, turn on. They don't get turned on by anything. They're these zero cost things. Like, why would you run it? It's just stuff that doesn't turn on Anothos or any of your other aura cards. Um, it's, but I mean, really, what you want is stuff that can still just like block, and those cards just are a lot of value
Yeah.
on their own,
They're free
especially
value.
against wide strategies where they want to hit you at like 4 or 5 breakpoints. Those are even going to be a little lower in Commoner. So I mean, you could always just expect that if you bring way too much, that they're never going to be able to touch you in any
Sure.
scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll find out.
And the thing with Oldhim is I felt like his need to maybe like do this like sort of semi frostbite theme kind of gave the deck a bit of a lack of focus. Like it
Yeah.
definitely I'm sure I'm gonna eat my words. Like I'm gonna play against some really good Oldhim player, they're gonna play like a very similar plan to me. And they're gonna know exactly when to do his ice defense react. They're gonna give me basically no plan. But at the same time, it also just kind of felt like if what I wanted to do was just kind of be a wall against damage. Like the frostbite tokens help sometimes, but especially if like I expect other guardian decks to be good. Guardian decks can a lot of times just pay past that. They're running a lot of blues, and the other point of my list was that it runs a lot of blue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, any guardian.
So,
Any guardian.
yeah,
You
I do
have to.
expect Oldhim to be popular. I mean, also I'm also just trying to, when I go on that long spiel, rationalize the fact that I started on Bravo and he's just more comfortable for me. So
Sure.
Yeah, you know, that's absolutely fair.
that's basically why.
So I would like to get into what we're doing for the Commoner League, but we have a lot to talk about today as far as introductions and stuff. So Arifel, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself?
Myself.
Yeah, just whatever you're comfortable with sharing, so people get to know you when we're talking Flesh and Blood, like maybe how you got into the game, or other things you do.
I started around the Tales of Aria meta around last summer. I had some friends who one time we were gonna have a game night. It was just gonna be the three of us. They both played Magic, and they were like, "You should get a commander deck." So I found one, and it was a very good time. I got I think it was like one of the 2018 Commander precons. It was talking about Magic on a Flesh and Blood podcast. It was Geared. It was the guy that makes rhinos. He makes a lot of rhinos, and they turn sideways. And I fell in love with turning stuff sideways.
Combat.
I played a little bit.
It's a fun strategy.
Yeah, I played a little bit more Magic, and then I found that there was a strategy I liked even more. It was very interactive strategies, very stacksy strategies. I liked Commander a lot. I learned very quickly that no one else liked these strategies.
Oh, the stacks? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
People I am one who does not like a stack strategy because it's actually my biggest complaint with Magic is like, your fun is have me not having fun. That sounds pretty messed up, dude. That's always been my reaction.
Either way, my main thing is like stacks are fine because it's like they go like I'm not my favorite, but I mean more like I like a lot of removal-y strategies. Like I'm gonna do a lot of like targeted like burn strategies, stuff where it's just I am trying to disrupt core parts of game plans. I like blue-black. Still doesn't make me any less of a terrible, horrible person who likes to make other people have no fun. But either way, I wanted a game where I was able to interact with people. And that was the fun, and that's when I found Flesh and Blood.
Yes.
The other thing that drew me to it was I liked Commander because of the kind of like you are your commander. I know that's a very popular talking point, but my angle on it was that I grew up playing Smash Bros and I kind of integrated from that.
Sure.
Some friends of mine introduced me to like Guilty Gear recently. I started messing around with a little bit of Street Fighter, so I like fighting games a lot. And I like a lot of the history of like the fighting game community and a lot of that stuff. Followed it for a while, kind of in the background. In Flesh and Blood, just down to like a gameplay perspective, reminds me of fighting games so much.
Yeah, it is definitely a head-on head.
Where when I was first like picking up the game, I was looking at it like a fighting game after a certain point. Once I realized this, like I didn't have a lot of like core strategy, but I think when I first started doing well in like my warrior decks, so it's just kind of like, oh yeah, this is warrior. This is kind of like a strike throw character. You kind of get in people's faces and you mix them up. After you put out some pressure, and then you either throw them,
you basically the mix is basically if you're going to do the attack reaction or not, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I got into Bravo, and in Smash I played Bowser, and Street Fighter I like Zangief because
I'm down with that. I'm down.
With
Bowser's my main. If I had a main in Smash, it'd be Bowser. Now I don't have a main because I play on random. But if everyone forces me to pick, I play Bowser.
Bowser just works.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, that's the thing with those very like meaty attack, like slow wind up characters. They're knowledge checks. They always punish like, do you know I can pivot here and do this, or like, do you know?
Yeah.
Like I mean, again, like Awakening just got banned.
Mm-hmm.
That card,
Mhm.
like it, bad game design goes against a lot of what makes Flesh and Blood good. Pure grappler shit. Because
Oh
like what
yeah.
it is effectively is just like, oh, like, do you know I have this tool where I can just, have a comeback mechanic? Like, do you know
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
there? And that is like the core of what a grappler in a fighting game does. Is it fun? No, and that's why grapplers suck, because it's probably good that we take all those tools away from grapplers.
Yeah.
That they have to work a little
For
bit more.
sure.
It does make them a little cooler too. Like how cool is it that like when Bravo without Awakening gets off like a full pulverize? Like
Yeah.
again, like
It,
that and Crippling Crush, they're like command grabs kind of.
Pulverize
it
is a
feels
fun
a lot
card.
better.
Yeah.
Pulverize is my personal favorite card in the game. Just from I like that the number 10 kind of looks like it's not supposed to be there, and I hope it stays that way on all subsequent printings of cards that have the number 10 or double digits.
Yeah,
Oh.
Pulverize is such cool art too.
So
Oh,
I
definitely.
actually
Well-
pulled off in my Valda deck has a single copy of Pulverize. I actually pulled off a Towering Titan into a Pulverize. That was fun. It was like he hit
Well,
me.
maybe fun for you.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah, it was not fun for them. Well, the funny thing is they were playing. I can't remember. They were thinking they were playing Prism, and they got off a pretty meaty turn. They got like a 11 damage turn in, and I just let it go through. I was just like, we're good now.
Well, that's the thing.
No
that's the
blocks.
thing
No
is
blocks.
You're letting you're letting it get through anyway, because it's like it's all split damage. Like
Yeah.
there's not really a point to defend it. It's just gonna
Yeah.
spread out.
Yeah, so I had I put out the Towering Titan, and then I heaved the Pulverize, and then I already had a bunch of Seismic Surge tokens because they were drawing cards. So
Oh, so it was free.
it wasn't free. I still had to pay 3,
You
but
had to pay
Pretty good.
3 for a pulverize.
yeah,
That's a pretty good deal.
yeah, that was a fun. He was like, so I hit you for 11, and you cracked back for 22. I was like, yes, I did.
I was playing
Yeah.
Kasai one time, and an old him did that to me while Awakening was still legal, and I was very sad. Because in a
Yeah.
world where that card isn't real, I pressured them flawlessly. I was going to win for all intents and purposes. I had blood on their hands in my arsenal. They just,
that's
they had
Yep.
they
That's
had the
why
Awakening.
Awakening's good card design.
next turn. That's always that next turn you were dead, buddy. That next turn, yeah.
That's
Like
why
you're
I
playing
like that
Kano.
deck. I love Kano so much.
Yeah, you're
makes
playing
me
Kano, you got the last turn and all no cards in hand.
I always had this feeling I got as someone who grew up with ADHD that whenever you took like a what fantasy class are you in real life personality quiz, if you had ADHD and you gave the I just can't ever focus answers, you'd always get sorcerer.
Mm.
Like it's just the stereotype of sorcerers. And I love Kano because I feel like when I play him, I can completely reclaim that. It's like you're not using this to call me a filthy, dirty sorcerer who can't focus. I am a filthy, dirty sorcerer who can't focus because I'm so focused on trying to keep these lines intact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
Kano
perceive the world
Kano is
around me.
green.
That's what I like. Yeah, it's the kind of sporadic intelligence that I love about Kano. It's like sometimes it's this very underwhelming. I Voltic Bolt you for 5, and you're just like, okay, Arcane Barrier 4, I take 1, and then the next turn
Yeah.
I just like R.I.P. Stir the Aether Winds. I Stir Forked, take a lot of damage. You're like,
Yep.
I guess I will, Kano.
Yeah, I don't have enough pitch for this.
He's also scary. Like you'll be swinging into a Kano, and you'll have this like really great line set up. It's like, oh, I wanna play this like super big attack reaction. Then you're like looking at it, and you're like, it pitches for 2, and you're looking over at Kano. And you're looking back at the combat chain, and you're like, I could push more damage. And you look back at Kano, and you look at how much pitch he has in his hand, and you're like, I'm gonna pass turn. I'm gonna hang on to this.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
lesson in restraint where they don't have to practice any.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, they do not.
It's a different kind of just turning things sideways.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So Murph, let's hear a little about you and how you got into Flesh and Blood, and so
Yeah, so I got into Flesh and Blood. I'm pretty recent. I don't even know what the data was, but it was kind of like a little bit before Everfest came out.
sure. That's
Probably
recent.
like it's like a little bit like about a month before Everfest came out.
So you're
I
post Briar nerf.
well no, because I was pre Briar Nerf, kind of like at the height of Briar. That's when I came in.
You remember
then-
the discourse.
I do remember the discourse.
We didn't know how bad it would get.
No. And then because I came from, well, I mean, I started my first TCG was Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
Like back with the like the TV show and everything, and played a lot of that as a kid. But I heard about Flesh and Blood first through my LGS. I'm a big Keyforge player, so I still try and play Keyforge as regular as I can. I did in a few online leagues. That mentioned I was in a league match today. I was in a Keyforge league match.
Oh,
I have a couple
okay.
decks.
Yeah, when you
I don't
say
know where they
League,
are.
my video game brain just said League of Legends. That's just when people say League,
No, yeah,
that's what I think. League of Legends.
I'm in a Keyforge league that's run out of Sweden, so that's a ton of fun.
Wild.
And so I heard about it, and I definitely upon first brush of Flesh and Blood, I was sort of just like, oh, this game seems like it has a really big speculator problem.
Honestly, it kind of do. It kind of
It
do.
does. It does have a big speculator problem.
It did and is better and still does. It's weird.
Yes.
Now, are we talking like people buying up card speculator? Like, I'm not as familiar.
Yes.
So you will
Yeah,
you will
there's
learn.
like people like what happened with Basket Momentum when
Yeah.
Faye was revealed, where it shot up like $60.
Well, even more
Yeah.
so, I think Stormstriders before Adelt Icelander
yeah.
got revealed. I believe it was a consistently $90 card for like months.
Yeah, and now
then
it's 200.
Yeah, and then Icelander was revealed. Not even like the cards like hadn't even come out. It's like a firmly 150 card right now.
Yeah.
I
So
think I actually think Phantasmal Footsteps are approaching $200, which they're already at like 170. But last I checked,
Ooh, I gotta check
that's
my
right.
binder if I have one or not, because
Yeah, dump them while they're hot.
because someone wants it.
I'm lucky I pulled a Basket Momentum in my first ever box. But
Yeah, I have my Tunic, but it got reprinted like 100 times, so it's still valuable, which is cool. But,
I have.
yeah, I mean the old printings won't like the thing about that is like old printings don't really devalue.
They don't really. I've noticed.
No.
I actually checked my my Tunic after my unlimited Tunic after History Pack just came out. And I mean, I don't even care if my Tunic goes down in value. I want the white border cards out there. I want them to be a thing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's also one of those things where you would look at taking Yu-Gi-Oh as an example. I don't play it, but like I follow it. Like they have very consistently like high rarity cards, reprints, whatnot. Right?
Yeah.
They have a yearly reprint set where
Ghosts of something,
Basically.
right? Ghosts.
oh, that was recent. That's kind of a reprint set, but they have I can't remember what they're called, but they're like anniversary tins
Okay.
or something.
Yeah.
And so they have 2 tins or whatever a year, and all they are is reprints of like usually the hottest hits of the past year of releases.
Yeah, that was actually another thing. Speaking of which, I was shocked with the history packs. I was looking at what was in them basically. Just I was trying to figure out what the reprints were, if they were actually like, okay,
Good.
they had key cards. They mean key cards, and I think we talked about this last week. I was worried about like, what if they reprinted some legendaries? They don't reprint, say, Teklo. Metric set comes out.
Yeah.
Teklo inflates $300 card all of a sudden. They actually
Yeah.
hit all of the legendaries. Welcome
Yeah.
to Razor Arc. I was like trying to be like, no, did they miss one or two? No, they got them all. And I was
Yeah.
like,
So they
I
have
was
the
really
Ranger
happy.
helmet, because that's the
They
one
did.
I was
They
looking
even-
for.
they
Yeah,
even
even
have
his
Heart and
Skullbone.
Crossbow. That one, or Skullbone Cross.
Mhm.
Cross
Yeah,
wrap.
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
one of it's my favorite art on like any equipment card.
It's so cool.
And I want it because it's only like $40 to get an unlimited one.
It's
I
cheap.
think I
yeah,
I think I
uh,
ordered one when I didn't get one on the history, because I got a case of history and
Yeah,
Mhm.
I got my 3rd Mask of Momentum, and that was it as far as legendary goes.
Third, sell
One of
that.
the-
Those are hot right now.
Yeah, the one I'm actually trying to hit right now from history is I want a mask just because I mean not even because of like like he looks cool. I've just always wanted to build Katsu. I think the tutoring mechanic is really cool. I just think
This
it's
I
is
very fun.
super fun.
I put the mask in Katsu. A friend of mine who I'll talk about when we get to talking
Yeah.
about my stuff. He is borrowing my first mask, so I have a mask in the binder that's just sitting there. Now,
I want to be a religious scholar of the Break Tide line. I want to show people how cool it is.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Mugenshi release, the Lord of Wind line.
That's
Sounds
that's the one where there's no arguments, just like the straight up like yeah, that one's good.
yeah. That's a classic
100 wins is
OG.
also hilarious. 6 0 cost cards that combo into themselves and then have a combo finisher that just shuffles them all back in.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
really fun.
remember. I don't remember which lines are directly. I know that I have the ones that go off a crane stance. That those are the
Oh,
ones.
those ones are fun. Those ones are fun. I don't think
Yeah, yeah,
Heron
yeah.
Flight is an underrated card or anything. I think it's perfectly rated. It's not amazing, but it is cool, and I wish there was a good card that did things like it. Kind of, it's got an interesting choice. I don't know if you know what card I'm referring to. There's this one that it's I think it's one of the options for like the end of the Crane Dance
Yeah,
line.
yeah. It's an either or. You get to pick this
Yeah,
or
where
that.
it's it's they can only defend with attack reactions, or they can only defend with or non-attack actions or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
it's a cool choice. Now against Runeblade, it's kind of a card you'd want to sideboard out, but against like I
Yeah.
don't know, Warrior, you could just be like, I don't know, you can only defend with attack actions. Oh, what's that? You don't have any? Wow.
My
nerd.
Kasai has one.
Yeah.
My Kasai has
Nourishing emptiness.
yes, and that was
But
because someone
I would never
suggested that
block
to
with
me.
it.
No,
I am obsessed with hitting with it.
no, you never block with that. That's
You
insane.
never do. You always want to hit with it.
Yeah.
I
So,
love nourishing emptiness. I love giving my swords go again both times and then hitting with it the third time when they think my deck only hits twice.
Yep.
Not bad.
Yep. Well, unless you
Mhm.
have blood on your hands, then it hits 4 times. But
Oh my.
so anything else, Murph, you'd like to say about yourself or how you got into the game?
Oh yeah, we were on the speculator issue problem.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's how I got it. My first brush was basically like, oh, this game has some like really serious speculator and like cost problems, and like I left it alone for months.
Mhm.
Sort of like seeing it on the shelf because there's one box of Tales of Aria First Edition on the shelf.
Oh.
So I guess someone ordered 3 boxes of it, and then like that was like the only order they had.
Oh, okay.
So like there's no Flesh Blood scene where I am really. I am the scene. And so after like I did some, after like going back to it, and I was like oh, like I heard some more about it, so I did some research, and it was like, oh, this actually seems really cool. So I got into it, and yeah, I've been playing mostly online and like all that kind of stuff. So I've been playing. My first character was Katsu because I opened Mask Momentum. I was like, oh, I gotta go with this one.
Yeah. Yeah, no way. Yeah, you have to.
Absolutely. And so I've been rocking that. It's been a lot of fun. And then I also huge fan of Dash.
Mm.
So I've recently been kind of fleshing out the Dash section of the collection. I think the only thing that's really missing is the Plasma Barrel Shot, which I ordered, but also the Tekla Foundry Heart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping to have, with the white border cards, maybe get one of those.
I was about to ask what you thought about the rifle builds, if you had any sort of opinion on those, because I think they're very cool.
They're really cool. They really need. You're looking to. I was actually having a discussion with Fortuan in the pre-space because I've been running Talishar in my Commoner Dash.
Yeah, I had the same reaction. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a reason for this, and I mean, like hitting for 4 is good. I guess the games don't go that long, but like
basically, yeah,
it breaks, dude.
It does. Well, have on Dash, right? What you're looking to do is you're looking to go as wide as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
like Clover Dash, you got like you're looking to go tall and wide with like rotary rams and locked and loaded,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and so you're either gonna have a little bit of floating resources or none, and so
But-
so you're looking to get basically a little bit of chip damage off of the pistol, or maybe you're and like if you're so the pistol's not really all that great because it's a long game gun. You can't get the go again, right? You can't use it more than once.
Yeah, exactly. You have no induction chamber in this form.
Yeah, so the pistol's kind of bad. And then so you say, okay, what do I use? Do I use the plasma ball shot? Well, the plasma ball shot is equivalent to Talishar if I've boosted 3 times a turn.
If you've boosted 3 times a turn.
Yeah, only if you've boosted, which isn't necessarily you can't necessarily do because
You don't have the
A,
resource.
you don't have that many. You don't have the resources, and you don't have the boost cards, right? Because you're also trying to use like rotary rams and locked and loadeds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And on aggro dash, you deck yourself before Talishar breaks anyway.
Yeah, so you're basically it's either you're gonna have you might have 3 chances to use it,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you're going second, then you're saying like, okay, like I think I can probably hit 3 dashes or 3
I
boosts.
imagine you don't even swing a weapon every turn anyway. And
No, you don't.
No,
the pistol in most builds that I've seen really works as like a backup option if you don't have a card or you have pitch left over. Whereas the Talishar is like, hey, here's 4 damage, which is more than I'm hitting for usually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I
if you
can
if you've got a
anticipate-
hand where it's like I can either swing with a blue zipper hit or I can swing with it. I can hit it with like a blue whatchamacallit, a blue throttle,
Mhm.
or I can hit with Talishar. I'd
Yeah.
rather, pitch with the
Pitch with the throttle. And
pitch with the throttle so I don't fatigue myself quite so fast and just hit with the Talishar.
yep.
Mhm.
That's what weapons
So,
are for. It's to keep you in the game. And
Exactly.
I mean, well, that's why so much of my Bravo deck was built around trying to trigger Anathos, is just because being able to hit for 6 is so good.
yeah.
Yeah, well, exactly.
6 is
Yeah.
2 cards. 2 good blocking cards. We're not talking like average. They're good blocking cards or 6. So
No, exactly. And
That's
I'm just looking at I'm
that's
looking
a
at
red
Talishar
steel
here.
blade shunt. Like that is
Mm-hmm.
the maximum of a steel blade shunt. Like
Oh,
That's
yeah.
also really nice because everything of hers is 3 block.
Mhm.
Mm.
I mean, you're not
Yeah.
really looking to block on dash because you're trying to just aggro them out, but in
it's
a
the same
pinch,
thing with
they'll-
Dory. Dory's all
Yeah.
threes too.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm actually even clicking on a dash list here in Blitz, like regular ass Blitz, and they have Talishar sideboarded. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah,
Yep.
I saw the Talishar tech around.
Mm.
I saw it on the Teklo Foundry, their
Mhm.
YouTube channel, where they
Well-
do a whole bunch of dash stuff.
Yeah, and as someone who didn't even know about the strat, which like I joke, it makes sense when you explain it to me. It makes a lot of sense. And I know that personally, as much as like, if I'm talking to my friend or I'm building a deck myself, I could say like, you sound like you're on crack. It's Talishar. I feel like if I were at an actual event, like if I'm, going to calling at the end of the week, if I'm at the
Yeah,
Blitz,
absolutely.
I'm sitting down for like a sanctioned match for real money, and my opponent is a dash, and they flip over Talishar. I'm terrified because I don't know what they have up their sleeve.
Right.
You just say, what is happening?
What next level strategy is
Yeah.
going on here?
It's like that's the option I ignore on FabDB when I'm putting my decks together. Why is it
Yeah.
here?
When I went to I've been to one calling myself. I went to calling Cincinnati because I live in Ohio,
Mhm.
and I sat down with a first match was so I was playing Dorinthia, and this is like a side event that was classic constructed. It was only 4 rounds, and I sat down against, and this is me fairly new into the game. I wasn't like super, like I hadn't been playing a ton of time, but first match I don't really remember what it was. Second match was a Katsu. I knew what was going on with Katsu. Both of the Wakazashis or whatever they are, Kodachis. What are they?
Harmonized Kanachis.
Yeah,
I
harmonizing
remember the
Kodachis.
first time I learned about Kodachi for one, and it I mean, just like the damage itself, like the first time you play against it and you really realize how good it is, it creeps in slowly. And near the
Yeah,
end of the
yeah.
game,
It's
Just like,
it's just
especially
a
when
free
you're getting low and
swing.
you're like, I don't want to block 1 damage.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go again.
yeah,
Yeah.
it goes from do I card but not good.
No,
it's
Yeah.
one
I've started
damage.
blocking them. I've started blocking them every once in a while. But I went into against
Whenever I do it, I look the Katsu dead in the eyes.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
just make them uncomfortable. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What?
Blocking
No,
the
stop!
Kodachi.
I don't like this.
They never do.
Blocking the Kodachi with the red steel blade shot.
Oh, I've
Just to
done
assert
that.
dominance.
I've done that.
I've done it.
Yeah. I was gonna
Yeah.
say is I actually went against a Dory mirror match and I was using Dawnblade, of course, right? It's Dory, right?
Yeah,
And they pull
yeah.
out 2 Centauri sabers, and I'm like, what?
I've been a believer in the Saber story for a while. I just I like Kasai a lot.
I do too. I mean, she's. We'll get into it. With me. Sorry to take over, Murph. Is there anything else about? Because you're a big Dash fan. Is where we left off, and that.
Big Dash fan, yeah. Big Dash and big Katsu fan. I've been transitioning off. I've been mostly been playing Dash.
Okay.
So I think that playstyle is super fun. And also I am from Ontario, Canada.
Okay.
As
Yeah.
well. But
Sweet.
Ontario. I previously, not currently, I previously had a podcast co-host on my weekly Monster Hunter / video game one. He was, I don't remember what area of Canada it was, but he was 2 time zones over from you, west. So he was out in the boonies.
probably Alberta.
Yeah,
In
maybe.
the woods.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't in Alberta. He was in one of the more rural areas out there. But
Well, there's a lot of rural areas, and I mean, most of Canada lives like, a few kilometers north of the border.
right.
So,
Yeah.
That makes
Northern
sense because it's cold.
Canada is wild.
I get cold here in Ohio, and we're not
Well,
even.
it's also because of we're the second largest country after Russia. Plus, but we have most northern stuff is not really habitable, and everyone lives along the Trans Canada Highway and rail line,
Mm-hmm.
which is like
Mm.
traditional settling routes. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Historical reasons for it.
Okay.
Wild.
No, I'm glad to have some Canadian history there. I learned some things.
There you go.
I have like Canadian blood, I think. I don't know. Someone would have to check. You need my blood. Continue.
Do some ancestry.
Mm-hmm.
I did it once. I don't remember what we got. I know I'm like a little bit like Balkan. Like I got a little bit of the, I guess, I think it's Siberia or it's the other part of Russia. I'm bad at geography. Really bad. It's probably
The
why I
Balkans are
forgot
in the
where I was
Balkans.
at. The Balkans are in the Balkans. That's what I
Yeah.
got.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm actually a bit Native American myself, and most people
Very nice.
are like, so what tribe? And I say the tribe, which is Shawnee, and they're like, who's that? And I'm like, they're actually here usually in Ohio. It used to be. So
Yeah.
I'm actually where part of my family was the whole time. But even they weren't in Ohio the whole time. Even in our tribe's history, we actually came from Mexico and traveled down along the edge of Mexico, went
Right.
up to Cuba, went up to Florida, and then traveled up to Ohio. And that's actually in our tribe history. So way back, maybe
Really?
some Mexican in me, way back.
There you go. Some Mesoamerican.
lot of ground covered there.
Yeah. Well, they're the Shawnee are referred to as Shawandase in their own language, and that means the people of the South Wind, and that's why they're called that. So,
Sense.
so yeah, little Native American history there.
I love that. Thank you.
No, that's really sick.
So for me, I go by Fortuan most of the time, like we talked a little bit about. I do also go by Cham. I'm not really super protective of my real nickname and stuff because I do. My bickering bucks is with some real life friends, and they can't call me Fortuan because they've known me as Cham. They're the whole time they've known me. So
Yeah.
But I mostly go by 421 because that's where I kind of garnered some stuff with Monster Hunter. I actually started podcasting about 5 years ago, right before the release of Monster Hunter World. If you're familiar with Monster Hunter, there was sort of like a gap in the podcast world for Monster Hunter. There wasn't a Monster Hunter podcast anymore. Like the one that was out there died, and just wasn't a thing anymore. So I was like, you know what? I want to do this because I don't know if you guys watch the YouTube channel Cinema Sins. They started their own podcast,
Absolutely.
the Sincast, and I was like, these guys, I like what they're doing, so I kind of modeled some stuff after them, made a podcast, and then here we are. And I have had several failed shows that have gone under the Hunter's Hub umbrella, including stuff for like D&D. And then I did a Magic show for a little while.
Very nice. Do you mean Magic the Gathering or like Magic?
Yeah,
Magic.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering. Yeah. But as far as card games go, you will learn that I am A, the most uninformed card person here, B, probably the worst card player here. I have always been toes in the water in cards games, and Flesh and Blood is the exception. Flesh and Blood is what got me to actually care about a card game more than just half. So like the person who got me into card games is my brother, actually, my younger brother. He is very much into Magic. A part of me doing the Magic show was just sort of talk Magic with him, because I like doing podcasts. So like I was like, let's make a podcast out of it, and we had a guest, and it kind of fell apart when I just stopped caring about Magic. Like I got to the point where the only time I was even looking at Magic cards was for the set reviews we were doing on the show. Like
I get the impression from a lot of Magic players recently that they all very sporadically care about Magic, where it's like one set will be like, wow, this is amazing. I think it's really cool that we're here on Innistrad today.
Mhm.
And then a week later, it's like, wow, here's this really gimmicky set from a plane I didn't care about, or some really new gimmicky thing that I don't care about. Or wow, Dungeons and Dragons, that's cool in concept, but I thought it was cool, but
yeah. I'm a big D&D player. Yeah, that was an amazing set for me.
Well, that's why I love Flesh and Blood, because I'm at this point with Magic where it's like it's such this like background thing for me.
Yeah.
Where like I'll go in the draft at the end of the week, like very toes in the water, like you said. It's like, oh, it's Cyberpunk this week. That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's see what's going on here. It's like this. It's this thing that's very hard to like care about 24/7, just because there's so much all the time.
Well,
like
my brother is what the mobile developers call a whale. So he orders.
Yeah, true.
He orders.
I am with Fab. It's cool.
Well, yeah, I'm getting there with Fab. But
I have a lot of boxes over here.
Yeah, I've got over here. I'm not gonna put the camera there because it's a mess, but it's not organized. But yeah, so my brother he used to buy cases of Magic. Now when you talk about a case of Flesh and Blood, that's 4 boxes. $400-ish. That's quite a bit of money. It's 6 boxes in Magic, and they're higher priced than Flesh and Blood. So we're talking like, that kind of thing. My brother made a joke one time. I work with my brother and my dad in a family business, and Dad went to go do something while Chance was in the car, and he was in like the bank or something for them, and he came back, and Chance was like, well, I did it. And he's like, what'd you do? He's like, I spent $3,000 on Magic cards while you were gone. Like, because like he'll do that sometimes. Like he's like, yeah, I'll take 3 cases of that. I love it. He's like 100% in on Magic, and always is. And he's toes in the water on Flesh and Blood. And so I would go with him to the league. So I didn't used to, work for the family business and everything. I actually used to be in Dayton, Ohio. And then and I'm very open about this on the other podcast, I had a divorce that didn't go well. So I moved back home, and into sort of just like getting out there and sort of like being more social kind of thing, my brother took me to Magic. So we went to Wednesday night Commander, and I kind of got into Commander because when I had my first kid, I had to give something up, and that was Magic. So, but Commander was like, I always had that that deck, and I could bring it out and play it with friends when they were over, which wasn't a lot when you have a newborn. And but I still kept
Right.
it. I still kept that toes in the water on Magic for a long time until I got very frustrated with that Commander League, very frustrated with that store, and very frustrated with like just Magic in general. So I was just like, out, done. So I
Yeah.
started hanging out at the local video game store that was next to the hardware store, and then they moved in the same strip as the Magic store. So the video game store moved down, and then the video game store got in the Monarch precons, and
Oh, right.
huh, what's that? I was like, Flesh and Blood. That's weird. And he was like, I don't know, I haven't tried it yet, and I'm good friends with the one of the owners, and and I got to be good friends with him because I skipped out on Magic and just hung out at his game store all the time and talked to him. So
Right.
I was like, you know what? I'll get two of them, $15 a piece, $30. I'll go home. My brother and I will test it out. He had Prism, I had Levia. It was a bad day for me, but
True. Yeah, fair.
yeah. So then I lost terribly, but then I came back and I was like, all right, I want to watch a video on how to play this better. So I watched
Yeah.
the Tolarian Community College, which I'm not usually a subscriber of. I'm now a subscriber because of his very limited Flesh and Blood, talks, but he does some.
I want
His
more.
product reviews are really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So I watched his product review. I watched his tutorial on how to play, and I was like, oh, this is what I wanted out of Magic. Like, not like I'm not a person in Magic that likes to do a lot of interactions like you, Arafel. I was more of like mid range, right? Like I did interactions. Interactions are key. Like that's the only way you can defend your creatures is interactions. But I prefer the going tall and swinging. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I was watching. I was like, but all of my cards are useful all the time. Like
Yeah.
this is
That's what got me
amazing.
into it.
And then it's also kind of like Commander because I'm controlling a hero, but it's not a singleton format. I love this. Like, and then I started getting into it, and then I want to say that was like July of last year, maybe August even, maybe as late as August, and then September is the Calling Cincinnati, and I was like, got to do it. So I signed up.
Very cool.
I usually have my kids on weekends, so that was kind of a weird thing. But my grandmother lives in Cincinnati, so I was like, I convinced my parents to be like, "Hey, can you hang out with grandma and my kids while I go play cards? And then in the evenings we'll all be a family together, and then I'll go play cards the next day." And I actually didn't play. You get like when you buy the event ticket, you get like 4 side event tickets. I only ended up using 1 side event ticket and then going for the main event. And I didn't even go the 3rd day because I just wanted to see my kids and hang out with my family. This is kind of what happened. But
Yeah, that's fair.
it was still amazing. Everyone was super fun there. Everyone was super friendly. Like if I go to a Magic tournament, people are just so I don't know what it is with Magic in my experience, but people have been so unkind and very competitive and very like, what are you doing here? Because I'm in my heart, I'm so much a casual player. I'm so much a toes in on that game. And then I got into Flesh and Blood, and everyone was so welcoming, so helpful, and that kind of stuff. And I was like, this is awesome. So then I came back home here in the Chillicothe area, and there's not a scene. So I start one at the game store. And then we had a feud with the card shop because they realized people now want to buy Flesh and Blood, and they started scheduling the same days as we were, and all this kind of crazy stuff. I hate that card store, dude. Like
Right.
They started to try to compete with you guys directly.
Yes, they did.
For
feigned ignorance. And feigned ignorance.
For covering a niche that they didn't have.
They didn't even carry Flesh and Blood until I
didn't
started.
know it was a thing.
Yeah.
They could also just do it different days, sitting at both markets.
We ended up moving the day. So we were like, bless his heart, my friend at the game store, he's so like he says he doesn't like people, but he's actually really nice. He's like a a mean teddy bear. You know what I mean? Like the people who are like mean on the outside but cuddly on the inside. That's
Like
kind of
a lot
him.
of the game store people I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just like,
they look intimidating. They look like they know more than you, but they like games. Like how mean can they be?
right. And he's
Let's
been a
go
very nice guy to me, but we're also similar aged, and he deals with a lot of younger people, and he doesn't like a lot of younger people. So
Hey, fair. I mean,
Fair.
we're all pricks. Every one of us. It's true.
so that's how I kind of got into it. And I actually pseudo, I'm not official because he still does all the stuff online, but I help plan. So I am pseudo tournament organizer for this store. And we set things up. He'll talk to me. So we're doing we actually got, it took him a long time to get armory kits, but he finally did.
Nice.
And he, the card store, they already have all the connections, and they were able to get armory kits like that. Just boom, they got them.
Right.
And like the game store, they're like, "You're a video game store. Why do you want cards?" He's like, "We're branching out. We're doing more. That's things that businesses do. Please help us."
Yeah.
So he has a
Yeah,
problem.
they wanna verify really hard that you're not gonna sell the armory kit. Like, no, we have armories here.
Yeah. No,
Please.
I help run them. I know we do.
Yeah.
The unfortunate
yeah.
part is sometimes it's just me and my brother and the game store owner playing because the card shop ate so much of our community off the bat that and it's just weird. Like it's the same people that I didn't like playing Magic with sometimes too because of their attitudes.
Yeah.
So like it's not that they're bad and they're like the ones that mostly play like there's this guy who plays Oldhim a lot. He's fine. He's totally fine. His attitude's great. He plays like
Except
the worst
the Oldhim part.
except the Oldhim part. Yeah, it's so hard to get against. But other than that, he's very like interested in talking about the game and that kind of stuff. Whereas before in Magic he was like me. He was toes in the water, but he didn't like what was happening, so he was very kind of standoffish because we didn't know each other that well.
Right.
So, and me being the social butterfly that I am, I try to talk to people instead of play because I don't like the game as much. So,
Right. Yeah, I get you.
so yeah, so that's kind of how I got into Flesh and Blood. So you talked a little bit, Murph, about like loving Dash and Katsu. My first hero was Azalea, and
Ooh, very good.
and I was just like, I love this guy, but she's like the meme terrible hero now. Like, not that she is terrible, but like people like, oh, you got to deal with that arsenal, and you're not getting lightning arrows. Oh my gosh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right?
It's honestly different in CC or Blitz, I'd say. In Commoner, you're like I say that about the deck, but it's Commoner Azalea that needs a 5-card hand. You have better cards.
Well,
Remorseless.
Azalea's had problems in general. Like I think Everfest helped her out a lot. Like before.
Well, yeah. Now Command and Conquer is real, but I guess you have Battering Shot. Like I guess.
Well, it
I think
helps.
It helps. Everything in Azalea helps. And that's actually one of my favorite things about Ranger, is that Ranger cards, because as a hero gimmick, it just sucks so much to have a bow and arrow. I don't know. I guess people in Wraith just don't like them very much. Point is, life sucks for you
attacking from
when
afar.
yeah. Life sucks for you when you're a ranged fighter. Which means the cards themselves are allowed to be incredibly broken. Imagine if Runeblade got Rain Razors. Imagine the chaos that would erupt in the community.
Written the Ledger is so good.
We could give an
that's what I was gonna say.
A Ranger, and it would be completely justified.
Yeah.
No one would die.
They get stuff like Seek and Destroy. Like you can do Rain Razors, Seek and Destroy, and Red in the Ledger.
Here's the good point. If we want the flavor of Ranger to be that they strike with precision, and Ninja is our other class with a tutor, why doesn't Ranger have a tutor? Why do they have to Stormtrooper their bow? Why can't they search for cards? Why can't they be like, I'm gonna shoot this bow exactly how I want to in just the right way? Like,
it would be better if it was like if there was a better system for like a quiver.
I've had an idea of how to fix Ranger, and I'm just gonna
give him a piece of equipment instead of a chest that you can run a quiver.
We need Shadow Azalea. We need talented Shadow Azalea, and she needs to be able to pressure people by being able to fake out whether she shoots an arrow from Banished Zone or her arsenal. She needs more places to shoot arrows from and a place to go wide.
Oh, that actually would be good.
That's an interesting one.
I think the maybe this isn't as good an idea, but I do like the idea of like giving rangers a chest
Azalea,
piece.
shrouded by darkness. Make it real, James White.
At James White. At TCG.
I do think that yeah, you're right. And I think they might be able to make like a quiver sort of chest piece that allows you. I think the real thing is I think the best thing they ever did for Ranger was the reload mechanic, and I think Ranger sucks because there's not a lot of reload in the game. Because even if the thing that sucks about Arsenal is that it's at the end of your turn. Now the thing in Commoner that's great about Overflex is that it says reload on it, which means that if you fired an arrow and you didn't have enough pitch in your hand to put another one back there, you can reload with an extra +4. We need more cards that do Overflex things. Maybe in the way that Guardian does too, where
there's
Guardian has Air Asunder, which just stacks another on hit.
Right, I mean, Take Aim does essentially the same thing, just not as well.
The Ranger cards there's just not enough support for Azalea.
Yeah.
Well, specifically.
The thing is, I disagree because when it comes to the number of times classes have been printed, they really have tried to keep printing Ranger. It's just that the cards are pushed; they're just not pushed enough. Like it's gotten the support. It's just that the cards they're scared of breaking it, so they haven't really pushed them hard enough yet.
Because if you push Ranger too hard, because Lexi's already good.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Lexi's already good. I mean, personally, I think the thing that will like push Ranger into like Lexi being a top tier deck and Azalea being viable is just more reload keywords. Because I mean, one that makes Lightning Lexi better because being able to fire multiple arrows in a turn is kind of like I don't know, her deal maybe or something like that.
I mean, I've seen builds for the Pro Tour float around of Lightning Lexi Fuse.
Interesting.
Of just like pure aggro Lightning Lexi.
That seems like a thing that someone could get away with, and I could see working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's one of those dark horse rights. If they match into the right deck and they get the right lineup, then they have a good shot.
Going wide is the thing.
Calling. I don't know if that would out aggro Chain.
No,
could it
probably
be,
not.
Could it beat Chain in a race? Is the question.
The problem is, the thing about Chain is can you kill him in 5 turns?
Well, the answer is, I mean, the thing with Chain is I don't even think it's that. I think the way to beat Chain is you block him in some way, because the thing that makes Chain good, in my experience, is if it does devolve into a race where you're playing aggro, Chain wins. He's the fastest aggro deck right now.
Yeah.
He is.
Insane. Because with
I don't have a sideboard guide for Chain. I have a list of which song from the Metal Gear Rising Revengeance soundtrack I put on for each matchup. That's what I have.
That's good. So those are the important aspects.
It's Red Sun for Old Hymn, and it's the Jetstream Sam fight song for the mirror match.
Very, very good. Very good. That's it. Is that it? That's the whole list.
That's the best way I can. That's the best way I can describe Chain. Actually, it's just you are Raiden. You're just swinging your sword as fast as you possibly can, and it just works. You're always pressing forward. You're always not blocking.
Yeah.
You're full tilt aggro.
So, Azalea is my Classic Constructed deck, which Classic Constructed is my preferred format. But soon after making Azalea, I found Dorinthia, which is my real favorite, which has turned into my real favorite, which is Warriors. And Dorinthia is, like I said, is what I took to the calling. I really like Warriors. I don't know what it is. I feel like they're in a good place, but they're not super meta. But like they can still do things. Like aside from Boltwin, I'm sorry, Boltwin. I don't know what to do with you. I have Boltwin. And that's another thing I could mention. I have every Classic Constructed built. If there is an adult hero, I have it built. Is it optimized? No, because I'm not spending that much on every single deck. But I do with this thing where I focus on 4 decks, right? So I have like a main and then a backup for each format, right? So
Mhm.
my focus right now is Dorinthia with Azalea being the backup, and in Blitz, which I didn't like playing Blitz, but that's what I have to play for the Armory events because we just don't have enough people to sort of get Classic Constructed going. So I have I had Kasai, and I like Kasai a
Mhm.
lot. Of course, Warriors, right? Um, and
Right.
then I
Yeah.
built Volda out of Everfest, and Volda I quite enjoy as well. Now I'm not a huge Guardian fan in general, um, just because it's to me it's like I've got this pseudo hipster thing. If everyone's doing it, I don't want to do it, kind of thing. So like Volda,
Hence the Azalea.
yeah, I mean yeah that, but like Azalea, I came into that not knowing if she was popular or not.
Yeah,
Dorinthia,
of course.
Dorinthia, I knew a little bit, but Volda was 100%. I'm in the meta. I know I know what's going on. Like I'm not really super good about knowing meta and deck lists and that kind of stuff. Like again, I think you guys are going to be much better at that than me. But I do enjoy playing Volda regardless. I do enjoy making those seismic surge tokens and making people draw cards, and that's one of my brother's favorite strategies in Commander is playing the group hug deck, right? Which I call the
Yeah.
lie.
Yeah.
I call it the lie deck because he still wins. But he wins
Yeah.
because he's profiting more than you are, and you just don't realize it. That kind of stuff.
It's the politics decks.
Yeah. Um,
They're my favorite.
one of his favorite line he said one of his favorite quotes in league ever was something I said to him. You're doing this politics things. He's like, you're not going to attack me, right? Like we're gonna work together. I was like, I promise to betray you last. And he was like,
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
What was I gonna say? Oh man, I didn't even play politics decks specifically,
mhm,
but the reason I like interaction is because I like table politics and I like
sure,
being the person with the counter spells and with the removal in hand. But having to be able to talk with people about it, negotiate about it, they're gonna be like,
yeah,
they're gonna play that. Are you gonna path to exile that? And I'm like, what can you do for me? You come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding and you ask me to path to exile that. Like,
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
of course. Yeah.
it's so fun to do. It's one
yeah.
of my favorite things, truly.
It
And there's some decks in UPF that kind of do that. There's the Cavity and there's the Genus deck, but are they
Yeah.
involved enough? Do they have enough tech?
Oh
Maybe.
man,
I don't know.
I will say I do have a least favorite class, and that is the merchant. I have no idea what they're doing with merchants. I
I
understand their
Have you
UPF
played
cards.
against? Have you played
also
against
PvE.
Genus Penis OTK? It's a real deck. It can kill you in one turn. It can do 20 damage. I've seen a guy play it.
Jeez, no, I have not heard of this.
Yeah, Genus OTK. I don't have the list on me, and I'm not gonna. I don't know if it's a secret thing, but
I'll look.
I'll
Secret
just say
sauce.
I'll
it's
look it up.
real.
I'll look
It's
it up.
real.
Okay, that's
The
insane.
I'm just waiting for them to make like an alchemist class. Like I just want them to I want a
I want
weapon
it.
where I
I
can
want it
load it
now.
with items.
Mm,
Like a ranger, but I'm loading it with items and throw the items at the other person.
flak
Do
If
cannon.
damage.
if the alchemist has a very specific vibe that I have in mind, I would literally drop everything I have to play alchemist.
Mm.
Yeah,
It
I'm waiting
just
for it.
depends if they release the right one with the right energy.
Yeah,
So-
it does depend.
So, what do you guys feel about the new classes coming up? Obviously, Icelander, we already know her. We already have her from
Mhm.
Everfest. But Draconic Ninja or
Phoenix Ninja or something? Phoenix?
It's Draconic Ninja and I believe Draconic Illusionist.
right? I think they
I-
confirmed it was Draconic, but I'm not sure.
I think so.
It's Draconic.
so,
I
yeah.
really want to play the Illusionist. I just am waiting for Phantasmal Footsteps to not cost $1 million, and then I'll buy one.
I think that's
But
the
in-
one that I do have that I'm like, okay, I got one, we're good. Like, cause I pulled one early on.
Oh yeah, no. If you hang on to that card, well, actually, I don't know if Phantasmal Footsteps is going to go down after it's speculative, or if it's going to turn out that like Jeremiah is the best deck in the format. And they're going to be
And
like,
then-
well, might as well keep it at $170 to $200.
Hopefully, we
Right.
don't have a Starvo 2.0 happening.
I don't think we will. I
I doubt it.
genuinely don't think
No,
so. I don't
I
think.
don't. I'm excited to see what the Ninja does. Honestly, like I think
That's who
Yeah,
I'm most excited for.
the
I,
ninja I think is going to be really good. I also like that it's juxtaposed with an illusionist, kind of showing
Yeah.
that the talent can't be one thing ever. That was one thing that always got me about the shadow talent was
Hmm.
blood debt kills you, so the decks have to be aggro in some way
yeah,
Yes.
because they're built around a mechanic that you have to outrun to some extent.
The
right. Or
description
avoid.
Ice
on
decks,
Dromai is that they're a combo illusionist.
yeah,
So,
I
like,
think I saw that.
obviously, it seems like Draconic is doing something that is enabling combos,
I
right? Whether it's
I
like,
think that makes
you
a
know,
lot of sense. Yeah, especially with ninja being another class that's in there.
yeah, like perhaps like you're building up like, you know,
I wonder if there's a deck manipulation aspect to it, or a way you
fully.
can arrange lines or play off the top,
I
Yeah,
which would
I imagine
also
it's something
make
like,
sense being in Volcor.
Mhm.
I mean,
hmm
flavorfully, we've had two other characters with the Volcor border. It's
Kano.
Kasai
Drac-
and yes, Kano.
yeah,
Kano plays off the top.
yes, he
Um,
does.
So Kano's not necessarily draconic, but if they ever were to reprint Kano as a draconic wizard, I mean that's his identity, man. He
Yeah,
plays off the top. That's like his thing, dude.
I
So
mean,
I
we'll
wonder if
definitely get a Draconic Kano, I think,
yeah, I
at
mean a
some point.
draconic Kano too, especially if you wanted to make it about deck manipulation. And imagine if a ninja didn't necessarily tutor,
Hmm.
but they they stack their deck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
Yeah.
don't know that's what it'll do. And it's all based off of like red pitch cards, which I mean, I guess now that I'm laying it out in my head, basing it off of red pitch kind of makes sense because having to have most of your deck not pay for a lot of resources kind of incentivizes you to stack it just right. But
hmm
could be wrong.
Yeah.
Could be incredibly wrong.
I have a feeling the ashes that they keep mentioning are going to be like a banked resource. So like you're going to like get like, get ash tokens or whatever and
I
hash them in at
also
some
think,
point. Like copper is my guess.
Okay.
Yeah. Something like that.
I'm excited for Uprising quite a bit. My buddy who runs the game store, he'll always ask me, "Hey, how much do you want?" Because I'm their biggest buyer,
Hmm.
and he's like, "How much do you want from Uprising?" And I was like, 2 cases. Is that possible? Because he doesn't get a ton of allocations sometimes, and he's like,
Mhm.
"Wow, you really want this set?" And I was like, "I'm hyped. I'm really hyped. I like dragons."
You're gonna try and pull a Marvel.
Well, maybe.
Maybe.
I
The whole case.
I do have one Fabled card, and I did pull it from Everfest. I got the I can't
I've
remember
never
the
pulled a Fabled.
well.
Never done.
It took me a whole year of playing to pull a Fable. So
I mean, I have pulled Fable. I mean, I've only
I
actually opened 2 boxes.
I'm
Oh,
coming
wow.
up a year on
Yeah.
having bought the Blitz decks, so we're getting there.
yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm specifically searching for the Fables, anyways. That's not something I really like about this game. Is the Fables are good, and yeah, you want them
Well,
for
That's
like
actually something I like about the game and don't like about Library in particular, is that it
Mhm.
feels like you could go without the eggs. However,
Yeah.
Library, no, that's essential Prism tech. The deck operates entirely differently without Library. And I
same
love
thing with Luminaris. Luminaris does the same thing. It's like it completely
Well,
takes it.
Luminaris is majestic too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a different story. Like I think I have
No,
a
it's easier to
a
get to.
rainbow
You're
pearl.
right. You're totally
Yeah.
right. It's way
I just
leagues
mean,
easier to
like,
get to than a Fabled, but
yeah, and that problem does exist with legendaries, where I
Mhm.
wanted to
Yeah.
build Brute for a while. I didn't feel like Brute was really buildable without Scab Skin Leathers. And
It's
as a
not.
counterpoint, we're talking about Kano.
Yeah.
Every Kano deck tech you'll watch will be like, yeah, these are the Storm Striders. This is like a $90 card. This thing's like essential, man.
Yeah. Don't
They're
play,
like
don't play like that's what it feels like with That's why
Yeah.
it's a problem with like I've had this discussion on other servers with like other people in the community. It's
Mhm.
like gatekeeping the like class defining equipment.
That's why I switched off of Guardian because
Yeah.
Guardian was getting incredibly expensive to play.
Exactly.
I mean, like I said, I like Bravo a lot. I like his energy. I like his
Yeah.
vibe. I like the fact that he's a big circus boy. But
Star of the
Old-
Show's one of my favorite arts in the game.
yeah, he got kind of obsoleted for Oldhim, who honestly I like the art on Oldhim more. I was really getting ready to play Oldhim. I had my like first edition
I mean,
crown all suited up and
I
ready to
was
go.
totally geared to play old him. I mean,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Exactly.
Beard bro, but like I don't know what it was that I was just like in Tails. I'm just not interested in any of those three heroes. I don't.
I
I
have a
l-
disease called I own 4 copies of Awakening. Not because I asked for this, I just kept pulling them, and I
Fair.
never could stop.
Fair.
And
Yeah.
every
So
time I see them, I get kind of sad because I'm like, oh, this card would
I
be so
gotta.
cool to
So
own.
obviously I have Starvo built right
Yeah.
because I've built every classic constructed. You know, every
Yes.
adult
Mhm.
hero. I had to go in and take the Awakening out of him and figure out what I'm gonna do. But like he's not one of the ones I optimized. So
No, yeah. Well, because it's like it's so. I mean, like important equipment. They also just need to like make like the difference between like Vexing Quill Hand and Grants the Arknight. That is a really nice compromise.
Look how useless they are.
But
These are
they look
they're
good.
pretty.
here.
Yeah,
They're
they're very
pretty.
pretty.
No, but you're right. And do you know what I think Guardian needs? Rampart of the Ram's Head is an $150 card. It
Yeah.
is essential
with
to play the
Stalagmite.
class. Stalagmite is a $90 card.
Yeah.
We need a shield with 2 block and temper and no effects at
Mm.
Completely
majestic
agree.
rarity. Now,
Yeah.
We need
could these be
more.
$20? Probably. Fine. So's Gambler's Gloves. Make it so.
But like Budgie
Make
Skeleton,
it
right?
so.
Budgie Skeleton is like a $30 card. That's reasonable.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. But it was, right? Like that's like
Yeah,
that's
it
a
was.
reasonable
No.
price point to say
Um,
like, hey, this is a really important card. It's like $30.
I've felt
Okay.
like a genius about Bloodskeith Skeleton since day one. When the card dropped from $30 to $20, I sold mine. And I was like, this card isn't gonna well, I sold it right before it went back up because Viscera got super good. But
Right.
I sold it, and then after a while I was like, oh, I want to play Runeblade now. I'm kind of sad I don't have that skeleton anymore. And then I was looking at the meta, and I was like, this card's gonna get banned. And then even better yet, I was trying to like say like, what am I gonna play for like big events all summer? And I
Yeah.
saw, no, right now. I saw Skeleton and Awakening doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I was like, these are the 2 cards. These ones are gonna get banned, and Chain is gonna be the best deck in the format. And I was right about Skeleton.
Hmm.
I was
Yeah.
right. I was so right. Now
Yeah.
on Chain, everyone's like Chain's the best. It's gonna be hella overrepresented, but that's fine. But
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Carrion Husk for Chain.
Carrion Husk, I have that too.
Yeah. That's
big
also like a
one.
$150 card.
No, Carrion Husk isn't bad right now. I think Carrion Husk was like 90 unlimited.
Is it cheap now?
I got it
I
for like
refuse to
90.
believe that.
That was about all I had to pay for mine. My the expensive part was the grasp. But no, I think you're right because especially in aggro decks like Chain, like even in CC, that one wants to go to like turn 5.
Oh yeah, it's like sitting around 110 on a TCG player.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you don't need the gloves. You can just have this like little tiny glove that breaks. That's fine.
Yeah, and like
The
you know,
rune-
like
they
there's
make
it's
the
like
rune
it just
so
needs to be
long.
like 5 to 10% worse.
I actually
need to
think
get, like,
I
less
actually
value
think,
out of
what I like about the design of it in particular is
Mhm.
that grasp, right?
Hmm.
Grasp
Yeah.
is 2 for 1. You can
Mhm.
reuse it even though it's once per turn, but it costs an extra for every rune chant you have.
Yeah.
Vexing Quill Hand, 1 for 2. It breaks, but you just get 1 for 2 right there. And say
Mhm.
even if
Yeah.
you're playing a budget Viscerai deck where it's like aggro, you break that on like a Mordred Tide turn. It's like, okay, I pay 1, make 3, I read the runes, I make 4, I
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
So it builds up over time.
Yeah, no, I think Vexing Cool Hand is like a really good example of like here's a good majestic equipment that is fairly reasonably priced.
No, I agree.
Right, the cold foil of Vexing Cool Hand and Viscerai's peak was $30.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right, that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah. No, it is. I feel like warriors aren't too bad. I don't like
Well, you
like
got
the
stuff like Valiant Dynamo, right?
I
yeah.
wish there were.
Okay, so
I actually
here's
wish
I
there
have
were
a
more.
funny story
Go
about
ahead.
Valiant Dynamo. Okay, I didn't know this card existed. I think you guys saw this on the Discord where people mentioned it's
Oh
like
yeah.
yeah, like hey, you should run Valiant Dynamo. I was like, what? What's that? What? This is the problem I have. I try to make it surprising where I don't know the cards that are coming out in a set, and then I just
Hmm.
miss one that's like integral to everything. I run two
Yeah.
warriors. They're my favorite class. I didn't know Valiant Dynamo existed till Friday. Like I'm so
That's crazy.
I have
One of my
ordered
problems with
one
Yeah.
Valiant
now,
Dynamo
but
is I feel like it feels too integral to the class at this point. I'm gonna pick
it's
mine up
not.
and
I
keep
can
it.
100% tell you it's
Or
not because I ran it.
actually,
I
or I've done work without it. I'm just like I'm thinking about it, but I guess that was a point I was gonna lead into. This is something I like about Legendary Design. I actually like Warrior,
mhm.
because you're right. Valiant Dynamo, you don't need to use it, and I actually
It's
played
super
once
good.
without it.
You want it. You 100%
It
want
feels
it,
good.
but it doesn't
Yeah,
turn on your
Yeah.
deck.
I guess I'm talking about top level with that one.
Yeah.
I guess like
Like,
Grasp of the Arcanite and Viscera is more one that turns on the deck, but
well, it's
Mhm.
one of those things where it just needs to be like the thing that makes technical hands and Cast Deck is that you have less long term value, but
Mhm.
it's not necessarily a worse card.
Yeah.
And that is super okay with me. Is that like if Valiant Dynamo is a legendary, but you have a card that maybe does something kind of similar, but you only have it for but you have a shorter window to use it.
well, again, that's what I
Right.
like about Refraction Bolters. It still blocks for
Yeah.
one, like Valiant
Yeah.
Dynamo. It's just that its effect is worse, but there's a
Hmm.
trade-off of it allows you to push in more aggro and further.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
it,
Exactly.
it it gives the sword go again if you break it, and it has battle worn, so
Hmm.
you can do that after you've defended with it.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
but
that's a common,
obviously,
right?
Yeah.
It's
it's
Refractor
common, yeah.
Bolters. Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, I even want more commons like that that just work at
I
top
agree.
level. I'm even thinking because I would still need to buy the skull cap for my deck, but I'm even thinking of just going without the skull cap and chain, just saying that the husk is enough extra health, and then just even using like one of the crown of dichotomies or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure if anyone actually uses Crown of Dichotomy. No one uses the effect of Crown of Dichotomy.
Or not even crown, I mean. What's the other one? What's the one with chain? The Ebonfold. The one that
Oh, Evanfield's actually okay.
because
Yeah.
Ebonfold, what it does, I don't even think it's good for Arcane Barrier. Just because it breaks when you Arcane Barrier with it. And the point of Arcane Barrier is that you have it physically there.
Yeah.
But I like Ebonfold just because I mean the thing that's so good about Art of War is that it says banish a card. That's why it's like
Yeah.
the chain card.
Yeah.
Having just an equipment piece that's like if you are stuck in a situation where you just need to eke out like just a little more gas, just banish a card, draw a card. You can banish a card that gives you more of a play because you have basically more cards in hand from banish.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Or just draw a card to maybe fish for some pitch.
Mhm.
Speaking
Works
about
in a lot of ways.
Art of War, so my history case, I got another Art of War and another Enlightened Strike, and I was like, cool.
Good.
I now have a playset of both that I do not play. Like I just like, because I don't play them
Those
in.
are-
You don't want them in warrior decks, right? You don't
No.
want those in the Azalea,
Yeah.
and you don't.
Actually, do you know what Enlightened Strike goes really well in? Is Valda.
Yes, I know that, and I've seen that against people.
Take your Enlightened Strikes. Two of them. What's the card? Snapdragon Scalers.
Mm-hmm.
5, draw a card. Okay, I give it go again. Okay, hit you for real this time.
Yeah. True.
That's
then you have a
fair.
side third.
Yeah.
It's very good. Either that or just haha 7, go again.
I might have to do that. I'm playing Valda this week, so I might have to do that. Because I've had
I mean,
a playset of them just sitting in my binder because I'm like, I don't know what I got to do with them.
If you ever want to run the E Strike, even beyond that, it is a card that feels good to play.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
does.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've played it before, but I didn't. But I played it in Azalea when I first built her, and I was like, yeah, but I want to load arrows. I don't want to do this. Like this is
Exactly.
this
And
is
change my lights here.
Oh,
I played the class because I wanted to do the gimmick. God.
yeah, and that's my problem is I don't want to play meta cards a lot of time if they're off class.
Exactly.
I'm just like,
But
but
I've
I
always
could be
hated
doing
Command
this
and
thing this
Conquer.
little hero ability cares about instead. Even if it's worse, I want to do this. Like that's sort of my
Yeah.
fallback is like I get why meta and like doing stuff like that and learning from people is good and doing. I actually had to talk about this with some people on another Discord. Was like, I don't look up deck lists. I just build it, and I build it from scratch. I look at the cards. I look at the hero ability. I just do it myself, and that's how I normally build anything.
Mm.
That's how I build D&D characters. I don't look at what other people have done, and then I look at what other people have done later. But I want to do what I want to do first, and then build
Yeah, that's how I like to build.
build from there.
I
But
started with building with whatever I had and whatever I
Yeah,
pulled,
that
same.
not
that is a good
ordering
way to
anything.
start. Yes.
And that taught me a lot about what commons are good in the game.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely how
Yeah.
I started with Katsu. And then I realized after
Yeah.
that I was like,
There are even some commons where like way before anyone knew they were anything. I was like, man, this card's insanely good. Wild that no one plays this. And then
Yeah.
that was just me like playing sealed, getting into the game for the first time. A couple
Mhm.
months later, Plunder Run is banned, baby, because I knew the whole time.
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Thunder
was
Road's
I was confused by that banning when it happened. I was like, what? Why?
Plunder Run, no, it got banned, and I was like, I knew that card was gas. I knew it was just straight gas
Yeah.
since I
Yeah.
saw it. I remember reading it and just being like, oh, that's
Drawing
good.
a card is insanely good in this game.
Yeah,
Like
do you know what I'm actually gonna start putting Plunder Run into? Is my Valda deck. My Valda deck is gonna get Plunder Run because
I mean,
it's
I could see it. Yeah.
Oh, because it's free card draw.
it's a
Free
quirky
seismic
one.
surges.
It's free card draw exactly.
Yeah.
It's a little bit off meta, but the thing I found when I was trying to build Valda was like I was counting a lot of times how often my deck triggered card draw, thereby, hey, on average, how many Seismic Surge tokens do I get per turn? And I was like, Plunder Run's a really sneaky way to increase that number. Because a
Yeah,
lot of
Um,
times when people
You
aren't
know what I've
playing
ironically seen for Valda as a
What?
tech is Cashins.
I've
just
thought
hard-
about it.
Hard casting Cashin. Just pay the 2. Don't passion for copper. Just paying the 2 and drawing 2.
Well, because what that is pay 4, create.
yeah, he's talking
create
2
two
cards.
Seismic Surge.
Not 2 pitch, 2 cards.
Or 2 cards. Oh wait, really? There's
It's because it
Yeah.
costs 4. Regardless of how you pay it, there has to be 2
Yeah.
cards. Yeah.
well, it's 2 cards
Mhm.
either way. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, like you throw the 2 cards out. Yeah, and in Valda because you're not running Tunic.
Yeah.
So it's I mean either way, like no, you're right. Just paying 4 for
You know
getting
what?
2
I might
Seismic
do
Surge
that
tokens
because
ain't
there's a
bad.
lot of things that I have in my Valda deck that I'm not really enjoying. Like I have Heave in there because I was like, oh, that's just a cheap way to enable. But then I have a Heave card in my arsenal that I don't want to play because you want to play
Yeah.
Crush cards, and I'm like,
Now my
Mhm.
biggest counter to cash in when I'm thinking about it actually is it blocks for 2. And
Sure.
It does block for 2.
a card I run 2 copies of is Seismic Stir. So it's like that card theoretically, Cashin could give you back a play after you paid for it.
dude,
But let's say like
I ran all
you-
6 Seismic Surges in mine, and I'm like, I can't do this.
yeah,
The blue
Well,
ones are
I
fine
only
for
run-
pitch, but the yellow ones get them out. Like,
I just run the actually funnily I just run the red ones.
yeah,
And no other ones because I mean what it is like one Cashin, it's cool and all, but it's a card you have to one keep your hand to play, and 2 it's 2 Seismic Surges of value for 2 cards from hand.
Mhm.
Whereas like if you just run 2 copies of Seismic Stir, even though it's in red, it's just pay 2, I get an activation.
Yep.
My ability is turned on. Even if it's like it doesn't feel good because you're not doing it by drawing cards or the ability or Earthlord bounty, but it activates the ability.
no,
Yeah, It
and
does.
that card specifically is what helped me get that 22 hit turn. Like
Exactly.
that got me
Just
some
you're
extra
able to
seismic
make 3
surges because it's
for like
plus.
1 or 2.
It's plus
Yeah.
1. It's It's +1 on the turn before. You do a good setup turn,
Surge.
and then you pulverize.
It's an essential resource for the deck. There's no reason you shouldn't want to be making seismic. Well, actually, maybe it's neither here nor there.
Right. I
The more seismic surge tokens, the better. That's
Yes.
the only rule of all.
all the seismic surge tokens. Cover me in seismic surge tokens.
Exactly. And don't use dice on them. Just lay them out on the table, each individual tokens.
That's why Awakening was so good, was because it made a lot of seismic surges, and not because of the tutor part on the bottom.
Right.
No, that's not it at all.
No,
That's
tutoring.
actually my hottest.
Tutoring.
That's my hottest take about Awakening is that they could. It's the one they could have eroded if they wanted to. It's the tutor on the bottom. They just take the tutor off, and it's a fun card.
Yeah.
They could have, because then it's just like you're playing the card once.
Well,
You
because
have,
let's
to have the stuff in hand, and I still don't think it's good game design, but
Yeah, what's not fun about the tutor was you always knew what you were targeting.
Oh yeah.
It's-
yeah, you're gonna go get a
Yeah,
So
you're
you
gonna
Crippling Crush?
you're going to grab the big attack called Thwack that does 20 damage for 15 pitch and says if
Yeah.
Thwack hits your opponent loses the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to do like 20% of the opponent's life in this one turn?
I'm telling you, the thing I love about Pulverize though is that it felt like as the Guardian attacks got bigger, they got more words. Like we went from debilitate to a righteous cleansing or crippling crush or spinal crush, and I like how when we got even bigger, we went back to one word. It's just Pulverize.
Yeah.
Now I
think
think the words need to get smaller and dumber. So we're back to Pulverize. Now we need Thwack that does 20 damage.
Yeah. I mean, Crippling Crush is definitely one of my favorite Crush arts.
Oh, yeah.
Crippling Crush is great. It's
I
literally
like
a
Choke
command
Slam. Choke Slam's a good one too.
That sounds pretty good.
Choke Slam's underrated. I think it's going to be very good in Commoner, because
Yeah.
Warrior is very popular, and it basically says, "Hey, Warrior, if I do 4 or more damage this turn, you can't do your entire strategy."
Yep. But the just go
Yeah.
play Dash. Hit them with a Talishar. They don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the Oldhim player started playing more aggressive recently, and I was just like, oh no,
The
Like,
old
Kasai
Tim is going on attack.
Kasai can't handle this.
No, you can't handle a few Zokonold.
No, you
I,
cannot.
the one thing that's kept me alive against old Tim is that I run way too many Steel Blade shunts.
I run 4. I run the
think that
reds and the
card-
blues.
I think that card is actually straight gas entirely. It's so good. It's just 1 for 6. Yeah, I'll take it.
Even the
great
1
pitch
for
card,
4
too.
can
Yeah.
work, and then that pitch
Well,
is for 3.
I run a blue one and 2 red ones.
Mm.
Mainly just because Guardian is real, and they're like, as a Kasai, I'll give her a little haircut. I'll take a little off the top, and then they can't get over the top because you have a red one. They weren't ready. They didn't think you could block 6. I can.
Mm-hmm. And this time with that Winter's Whale.
The Winter's Whale. They're never ready for it. They're always like, I'm gonna Winter's Whale for 4. I'm gonna like, you're gonna take 1 damage. Actually, I'm not gonna make a frostbite.
Yeah.
Yep. Actually, the guy who was playing Oldhim last week, he actually switched up to Briar, and that was fun.
That's a shocker. That's
Oh.
real reversal of attitudes there.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, he that was a fun match. It was for 3 turns we were at 1 life each. Like I was
I
like it was hard.
I had a game on Kasai one time where I whittled down my little opponent of Viserai to 1 life,
Mm-hmm.
and
Very nice.
we played the having to block lethal game until the bottom of our decks, and I just decked them out.
Yeah, that's quite the game.
Oh,
Like,
I
well,
love
it's against Viserai though, where you get the split damage, which can be nasty.
It was nasty until they didn't have anything to push any damage to me. I could
Fair.
always just, if they wanted to push any arcane damage, I would just barrier it.
You sound like a much
Right, yeah.
better player than I am, because I feel like I would have just lost that match.
I still make stupid mistakes. A lot of just obsessively consuming fab content and also just getting your ass kicked.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Mhm.
the harder you lose, the more mistakes you made, which means if you're actually like paying attention to stuff, I actually learned by sometimes if I know something doesn't work, like I mean I that's how I messed with Towering Titan early on, was because I was like, I know this card is silly, but I just want to see if I can get it off one time.
Mm-hmm.
If you have that philosophy about like say like every card in the class you play, it might be like an obsessive level of dedication, but like you know everything your class can do, and it
Yeah.
means like okay, you know if you do this, you're gonna get your shit wrecked next turn, and if you do this, then oh they don't have a response all of a sudden. That's interesting, and then you kind of slowly figure out what works over time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Eventually, you gotta learn, right?
Yeah. That was the problem. I don't get a lot of games in as far as
Yeah,
like.
it's hard. It's I mean the other thing too is you can that's also the thing is like some people can get a lot of games in. They could just like overplay way too much to the point where they're not thinking about their games.
Mhm.
I mean, the point is like for a while I was just obsessed with the games and I would only get a few games in a week, but it was just like I would obsessively think about those games and like how I played them
Hmm.
and like my own habits and just like, oh, what can I do this time? And the thing I love about Flesh and Blood is that it's a card game, and I get to think about it on an interaction by interaction basis.
Mhm.
Hmm.
In a fighting game, thinking about like, what do I do if I throw out this special against this character's 2P? It's like that's like one piece of a very small puzzle. When I think about those sorts of things in Flesh and Blood, it's like, okay, I literally know the card to play to get
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
like a specific like chess puzzle of a board state.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I feel about Keyforge too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I have 2 Keyforge decks, and one of them has 4 horsemen. That's all I
Oh,
know.
that's sick.
Yeah.
I have a
Man,
couple
I have
casual
one of those yet.
keyboard decks. I haven't messed with them. Just a couple of the sealed ones that are very silly and funny.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I have a small collection compared to I've got 30 decks,
Hmm.
so it's a pretty small collection compared to a lot of people in the community. But
I mean,
Nice.
that's the way
they're
Keyforge works. They want you to buy decks, period, because that's what
Well, I
they
and
enjoy.
yet
they are.
That's
and yet
why.
my entire collection is way less than what I've spent on Fab.
Oh yeah, no, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I enjoyed about Keyforge was it was just the sealed game.
Mhm.
It
Mm-hmm.
was just
And
you.
Keyforge, I mean, this isn't the Keyforge podcast. However, Keyforge is definitely the if I had to like drop every game and only pick one, Keyforge would be it. I think Keyforge is like is the most mechanically sound
Mm-hmm.
game I have played. It is also like definitely. I mean, Flesh and Blood is also quite. Flesh and Blood is different in the sense that it's like super tuned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I got into Flesh and Blood for. Was that it was
Yeah,
definitely up there and it felt super balanced. Like
yeah. That's also why I wanted to play Flesh and Blood was because like it felt like a much better tuned, had better interaction than like other deck builders.
Yeah.
But Keyforge being the sealed, being like these like randomly algorithmically generated decks, it just like everything works so well to make good games.
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
So,
you just it's so weird from a game. Wait, so like I never really delved too deep into it. So like everything is like just sealed. Like that is how you play it.
well, so I mean, it's sealed in a sense because you can't modify any of the decks.
Okay, so even if you were going to a constructed event, it would be like here is a unmodified, unmessed with deck.
Well, so there's the other competitive format is called like a vault tour.
Yeah.
Which happened, but they're not happening with COVID anymore. Hopefully they get revived. You would bring a deck you own, so your deck would be registered to you as the owner,
Yes.
and so you have to play with like every card that has like the specific name printed on it, and so it's a very specific deck. Like I have mine that are more competitive than the other ones.
Yeah.
And so you just bring your favorite deck, whatever it's called, and that's the deck you play with. You can't add cards to it. You can't take cards out. You just play with that deck as it is.
And that's why they
Okay.
all have names.
So I got
That's why I
names. So I
have
got
the-
unique pictures.
That's
Yeah,
sick.
the four horsemen was like a chase in the first set, I think. Like
I
the
can't
chase
was.
decks.
imagine, like you just have these decks and it's like what was the word I was looking for? Yeah, I lost it. I had something there.
Happens.
Keyforge is cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I think
well it's like from a game design perspective, I remember what I was gonna say. Like really, if there's something wrong with balance, you just gotta tweak a few levers.
Yeah, you like there's the cards where like they'll never show up together,
That's
Mhm.
so weird.
right? And there has been broken stuff, and there are like broken strategies,
Well,
but they're not a problem.
it is interesting how it's like, oh, like these cards, like that is an interesting deck building restriction because it's like
Mhm.
Flesh and Blood obviously is a character based one, but in
Yeah.
Keyforge it's just like these are the cards that will show up with each other, do things, and won't go infinite. So you can
Yep.
have all the infinite combo pieces and like play them normally, like with what you would
Yep.
for like the cool effect on the card, without
Yeah.
it being like
Broken.
ridiculous.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's
there's always, I mean, you talk to any Keyforge player, and they've always got like one or two cards who are like, man, if just like if this was in the deck instead of like that couple cards, this would be like absolutely broken.
And there
But you
probably
gotta-
are those
you gotta
few
play
decks
with
out
what you're
there that are
given.
monsters. Yeah.
Yeah, and like a broken card in another, like a really really good card or key card in another deck in one deck might be completely useless in another.
right.
Good,
So.
jumping off point. What do you guys think about limited?
Oh,
Yeah.
and Limited Flesh and Blood.
Yeah. Have you
I
played
haven't
it?
gotten a chance to play it yet.
It's tough. It's very tough. So
I've done a total of one draft. I didn't know what I was doing. Time of my life.
yeah, no, that's what the calling what I went to was. It was the first calling post Tales of Aria. So like Tales of Aria like released
Oh,
the
very nice.
week before that I went. Like it was new, like brand new. It might have even been like that weekend it was releasing. Like it was like very close. And
Right.
so we
Was it a
did.
pre-release?
It was not a pre-release. It was an actual full calling event. That I think stuff was out. I think stuff was already out, and because they were selling boxes and stuff. Like you were just like I picked up like 3 Tales of Aria boxes at the time I was there.
Right.
So I had to play. I got. It was really weird. They make you register your whole card pool, like everything, and by pitch.
Yeah.
And then you are writing down, like you're sitting at a table and your opponent is actually registering your stuff and double checking you and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it actually, some of that stuff actually comes up in the judge quizzes that I was talking about too. Like I actually had to look at that stuff. I don't know if you noticed RFL, but we lost your camera, but you probably did it on purpose.
Purposeful.
Yeah, I think it was purposeful.
They'll be back in a second.
Sure. It was interesting, but it was also fast. It was a lot faster than I'm used to building a deck. So actually, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he's a content creator. Is it Hometown TCG?
Yeah.
He was the guy in front of me. That's how I met him.
Oh, very nice.
And
Yeah, very nice.
he was like, "Hey, who are you?" I was like, I registered as a content creator, but I don't have a Flesh and Blood thing yet. So, but this is it now. This is it. This is what I was
it now.
playing.
No blocks.
Yeah, no blocks.
Oh, yeah, baby.
So I was talking to Hometown and I actually got to know him a little bit. We follow each other on Twitter now. And he helped me.
Okay.
He was like, "You're not allowed to talk about your decks though." So we were just talking about stuff outside of the game. And then afterwards, I felt bad because I was like, I don't know what to build. I don't know what to do. I got one Majestic and it was like the frozen shot from some ice thing. They can't play 0 cost cards for Lexi.
Is it a Frostlock?
Frostlock, you're right. See,
That card, I am
this is why I
spoiled.
love
It's
you, man.
beautiful,
Or sorry,
insane card.
this is why I love you because like this.
By the way, clarification. You can say man.
Okay.
I believe if you're like, oh, what's up, man, or like, dude, it's like gender neutral.
Okay, I'm terrible at
I
that
get you,
stuff.
I get
I'm
you.
sorry.
Don't worry about it. I expect people to be a little like weird or like not there yet.
Yeah. This is why I love when people can answer the questions that I have because I'm not very good at remembering all the cards. But yes, Frostlock is what I got.
I'll give it to you straight. I'm autistic as shit. This is my hyper fascination. I know all the cards. I have just like FabDB like up here.
Yeah.
That's handy.
Yeah,
Number
it will
8.
be. It will be.
Mhm.
So I had a Frostlock. So I was like, I gotta build Lexi, right? Like that's my Majestic. I can build a split Lexi. This is what I'm gonna do,
Mhm.
right? Like hybrid Lexi. Let's go. And I got done, and he's a much better player than me, hometown. And he was like, "You just should have totally built old him. Did you look at all those blues you had?" And I was like, "Damn it, you're right.
No.
You're right. You're 100% right. I got so focused, like a racehorse with blinders on that Frostlock. I was like,
Here's the thing though, Frostlock is a good card.
it is.
Yeah.
I never
Like,
got to play
you
it.
can never. That's the thing though. I
Yeah.
remember the first pre-release I ever went to for Magic was the Innistrad one last year. I got it to Fairy,
Mm.
and I built blue white because I got it to Fairy. I never once played them or
Yeah.
drew them.
Yep.
So that's the thing with like having a really good bomb and getting like locked in on it.
I mean, you gotta draft your bombs though in Magic drafting.
No, you
Yeah.
gotta. If you have,
You
if you have
gotta.
that Frostlock, you gotta slap it down. That card is so
Mhm.
pretty and full.
I-
The whole point of limited.
I would love
As a side.
to go to another calling. I almost wanted to go to New Jersey, like you get to go to Arafel, like you talked about, but
Yeah, it's super dope.
it landed on. So
Last
my kids
thing-
were gone this past weekend for a camping trip, and I thought it
Mhm.
was on the New Jersey, and I was like, so I called up the ex-wife. I was like, "Hey, so when is that camping trip again?" And then she was like, "It's this and this date." And I looked at the calendar for the New Jersey, and I was like, "Oh well, I guess I'm not going to New Jersey." Because
Next time.
that is one thing that it is my biggest pet peeve with how they do things though in Flesh and Blood.
so like late when they announce
So
things.
late
Yeah.
notice on all these events, and it's hurting my ability and other people's ability to go. Like I've listened to other Flesh and Blood podcasts, and like there are people who
Yeah,
can.
for sure.
They talked about it was Hometown and
Oh,
Kitchen Table
do you
had
know
a
what-
discussion
Do you know
about
what
this.
do you know what was one I would have tried to fly to, but they just announced it like so
So late.
was the Uprising pre-release.
New
That's
Jersey, or sorry, Las Vegas.
Las
Yeah.
Vegas in July, yeah.
Look, if I
Yeah.
if I come
June.
across within the next month an unexpected windfall of a lot of money
Hmm.
and can make it happen, I would love to.
Yeah.
Oh,
that'd be
yeah.
Amazing.
It's just so
Yeah.
I didn't have time to like say like, okay, I save $600 and make this happen.
I almost
Yeah.
wonder
That's what I had
if
for
it's
Jersey,
a fact.
actually.
Well, yeah. Well, and you're close-ish, right? You're in.
I'm in Mass, so what I'm doing is I'm taking a train up because
Okay.
if you live in the U.S. right now, fuck gas prices. Whatever how you feel about how they got that way, they just suck to pay right now. So I'm taking a
Yeah.
train.
I'm gonna be-
and I
gonna be
luckily
honest.
have friends.
When I was
Amtrak
in
sucks, but it's not
college,
bad.
when I was in
Yeah.
college, it went up to $5 a gallon, and I was driving an hour and a half one way to college and back. So like this is
That
like
sucks.
this is bad. Don't get me wrong. I don't disagree. For something a gallon is bad, but like
It's
like,
been and that's
this is
without
a dollar
inflation.
less than I
That's-
was working at.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
that was a bad time though too though.
Oh, it was. It
It-
was terrible.
it-
That was the
yeah.
housing market crash and everything.
Yeah, that
Like,
was 2008.
yeah.
yeah. So either way, I'm taking a train up. I'm gonna find probably something to do when I get there. I'm gonna have to kill some time for a couple of hours. I have a friend, luckily, who's gonna house me. Who lives
Mhm.
in Jersey, like pretty decently not far from
The
where
venue.
Pro Tour is gonna be.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it won't be hard to get there. I've got pretty much everything lined up, so it's gonna be fun.
It's awesome. You have to
Very cool.
tell us how it goes. And you're actually going to be missing next week because of that. And hopefully,
I am. I'm gonna be. I'm gonna have a little camera on me though, so I'm
Mhm.
probably gonna be bringing it around. I don't know. I might do like some sort of very amateurish, maybe like I'm not a great filmmaker. It'll be like jokingly amateurish, weird, very candid look at my experience. Probably.
sure.
I'm just gonna drag the
Those are the
camera
best.
around with me and like capture weird little moments.
I would like to say we originally planned on having 4 people on here. Big Boss, who does another podcast, Big Boss Book Club, and he couldn't make it today. He got sick. But next week we'll have him, and we'll just for 1 week trade Arafel, and we'll get to know him.
And Big Boss, yeah.
And
It'll be the Big Boss interview episad.
yeah, we'll
get to know
grill
him.
him on what he likes to do in Flesh and Blood. and then the next week we'll all talk about it. Of course, next week, so we something I don't think we mentioned too much. We are part of the Flesh and Common Blood Discord, and this Discord has a commoner league that we're going to be playing in, and we're going to be covering that every week because it is going to be going on. We are all, like I said earlier in the show, we are all three participating, and actually, funny story, Murph and I are against each other week one, so we get to have a discussion of how bad Murph beat me, and it's going to be.
It might not. You never know. It might not happen that way.
It may not.
I also believe Commoner is going to be a side event at Pro Tour, so keep in mind I'll be paying very
close attention.
attention to how that goes.
And
I don't know if we're like locked
be...
into the deck we play for the entirety of this league, but if we're not, things might change based on how that goes.
You're not locked in.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I'll probably dash because I like dash, but.
I am a person who sticks with one thing and keeps it for a long time. Like even when I play Call of Duty, I will play a gun till I gold it. That is what I'm doing. So
I respect that so much. I have to switch multiple times a life. I'm very sporadic with how I play every game.
I mean, to each their own. I like to do something called mastery of something. Like I like to master what I'm doing and then move on. And that's not saying you're not good at what you're doing. I feel like you're better than me. Yeah. But that's just the way I operate. Like when I play Monster Hunter, which by the way, shout out to my shirt today. It says I hate Mondays below it.
Great.
But a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to play this weapon. I'm going to play this weapon. I'm the kind of person who's like, no, this game I am playing Greatsword, and that's it. Like you're not like I'll try the other weapons, but I'm trying the other weapons when I'm deciding on what I'm doing. So this Commoner League, regardless of what happens, no matter how bad I built it, I am playing this dash Commoner deck that I built, and
this will be the future.
Yes, this is.
Also, I'm gonna. Don't worry. I'll make nice with all the dash players, and I will. Next time I'm back on the podcast, I'll spill all the dash tech for you guys.
Perfect. That's what I want to hear.
I'll tell you all the best Commoner cards for.
I mean,
perfect.
Murph was helping me already.
Yeah, the problem with dash Commoner is that you have like absolutely no card pool to work with.
Well, again, you blew our minds with Talishar, as we're saying.
That's true. That is true.
I didn't know that was
a
real thing.
I get your logic. It's sound. I'm still not running it. I just can't.
I mean, the pistol is consistent. You can bank it between turns. However, I don't know.
I think the pistol is usually because like sometimes you have leftover something for from Hyperdriver. And so it's sort of like, well, do I Arsenal here or do I?
It's weird without chamber, as we said though. It's very nice as like.
I got 4 of those in the box. I got 4 of those induction chambers. It's like
I have a couple induction.
Those are super rares, right?
They're Majestics. Yeah.
Well, they're Majestics probably in History Pack.
They're Majestics.
They were super rares, yeah.
Yeah. Everything that was a super really rare card type is upgraded to a Majestic.
Yeah, they wanted Yu-Gi-Oh on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, because I mean, at the end of the day, it really did come down to what difference did it have from a Majestic. They included, they were in the same slot. They just had a different letter on them.
Yep.
Right.
Fact, some super rares were better than some Majestics. So then again, that begs
like Spark of Genius.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's true. Yeah, and the last time they did super rares was Arcane Rising. They only did it twice. They only did 2 sets.
Yeah.
And then as soon as Crucible came out, they were all Majestics. So
yeah, so I think is a better change.
I think that's something that we're going to see a lot in this game because it is so new. Like this only came out in 2019 and end of 2019. We're talking November. So I
really want a world where it is consistent after this, and there are no more super rares. And then when they're like children playing this game in 20 years, I could be like, back in my day, there were these cards.
Man, I do that with so many things. I do that with so many things already. Like being a Monster Hunter fan since 2014, I'm like, hey, you remember when we had to drink potions and stand still? And people are like, that's a thing? I'm like, yeah, it
Oh
was
my
a
god.
thing. Like,
I got on the Minecraft train before a lot of the other kids on the playground, and
yeah.
my one I always like to bring up was I played Minecraft before they added an animation for drawing back your bow. You just right clicked and it fired.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
That
Yeah,
was
I remember that.
that was the bows were in the game. They weren't
Remember
there
that.
when the game first was an alpha, but I
Yeah.
remember I distinctly remember playing the game at a time before bows were fully cooked.
Yeah.
I
Well, guys, I have to step out for 2 seconds to
Sure.
take my dogs out.
Yeah, go
Oh
ahead.
yeah,
There's
sure.
I'll be back.
There's no sprint button at the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say Minecraft for me has always only ever been with my daughters, and that was,
Mm.
and I'm not a fan of the game honestly. Like,
Hey, it's fair. That's fair.
it's just like when I first came out, some kid was showing me it. That was like my ex-wife's friend's son or something. They were like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
like he likes video games. Let's show him this. I was like, this is just Legos. Just go play with Legos, dude.
Well, that's the
Like,
thing. It takes like supreme child brain,
yeah.
but I think what I liked about it, since I'm young enough where I was like actually 11 when it was first like picking up Steam.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think what I liked about it as a kid, and I mean this is I think speaks to a lot of current game design, was that it was a game that at least the survival mode. Creative is one thing. Creative is just genuinely like this is Legos. Why
Mm-hmm.
don't you go outside or play with Legos, kid? Like there were plenty of games that did that, but the survival mode of the game. Not that it's hard whatsoever, but in like learning it and learning what resources converted into what crafted into what,
Sure.
it was one of the few games at the time that like really didn't hold like your hand, and I don't know,
Yeah.
resource gathering is fun. I enjoyed it. There's
It's just
something
not
there.
my bread and butter, honestly.
Oh yeah,
I'm more
it's certain.
action game oriented. Like
I am at this point in my life. I think
yeah.
Minecraft, like I can't get into survival games at this point in my life. It was a very when I was younger and had that sense of wonder for the sort of thing.
Sure. No,
But
and my
I'm
and
a
my
lot more
daughters love
inclined.
it. It's one of their favorite games. That and Animal Crossing, another game I can't get into.
Animal Crossing I played religiously for like a month or two after it came out.
And then died.
And yeah, I just always feel like whenever I play Animal Crossing at any point in my life, it's because I'm in the movie Castaway and because the game is Wilson.
Mm,
That's that's just how I feel about Animal Crossing.
sure.
And I feel like
It's your
whenever when I'm
security.
not yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like whenever I'm not in that stage, I'm not on a deserted island. I don't need it anymore.
So I was never interested in that game. But I was sort of dating a girl because it came out like right when COVID hit, right? So like
Yeah. So it
I
was big. It was
yeah,
huge. There's a
it broke
yeah.
records.
Oh no, definitely.
Um,
It was a beautiful time. I
so
really bonded with a lot of
I
people
got
over
it because this girl I was talking to and trying to date wanted to play it together. And I was like,
Yeah.
cool. So we played it together and it was enjoyable that way. But that ended very spectacularly. She
Oh
blew
yeah.
up. She she
That happens. That happens. You
so
know.
I don't play that and I don't associate that game with her because the girls and I play it together sometimes, but like that was the whole reason why I even got it to begin with back in the day. And I was just like, this is weird. Like,
There
what
are
do I?
always those. There are always those games that sit in the back of your Steam library, and you're like, I used to play this. I used to play this with those friends.
Mm-hmm.
Then you kind of like scroll past it, and you're like, never again.
Nah, that is a past time of my life. It is
Never again.
that
I'm
door
trying to
is
look at it.
closed.
I feel like I don't even have them in my games folder. They're like tucked away in the back of the Steam library.
I mean,
Those
I've got
types
a
of
couple of
games.
games like that. You
Oh my god.
so
I can't.
back to Flesh and Blood. So you're going and it's a classic constructed for the main event, isn't it? Or is it?
Yeah, so my deck isn't fully like together, like a full list. So actually my plan is that I'm going to play a pile of jank, and that's the point. And I'm gonna hope that people don't know what to do against it, and because it's Shane, I think Shane is actually weirdly conducive to just piles of jank. his ability is very good, and on Runeblade cards, it's pretty all-purpose. It
Mm-hmm.
just gives things go again.
Oh yeah.
I'm considering the idea because the thing with Chain is that you can get fatigued out by Oldhim and Guardian, which is probably going to be somewhat represented because people seem to think Prism is going to be worse. I don't know. Prism is
Starvo's
still a
still
very
going to be
good
there
deck.
too. Like
Starvo
Starvo's
is still
still
going
in
to be there.
play.
But yeah, like I have two things with Shane, and it's basically just like one that he out aggro's most decks, and if they try to race you, then you win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want. Is just if it ever comes down to that, I just put out more damage.
Sure.
Um, and the other thing with Shane is like I said, he's versatile. You can do a lot of things with him. Um, I just think that Bravo and Oldhim fatigue him out.
Mm-hmm.
So I might run a lower blood debt list. I'm kind of in between. Like, do I want to go like higher blood debt or like lower blood debt? I'm taking cards in and out.
Right. And the thing is, like, it's pretty rare
Kasai
for
for
you to have to
Blitz, on
worry.
the other hand,
Yeah.
because there is going to be a battle hard. Kasai is ready. I'm very confident in Kasai. I don't think it's going to win. It's just in terms of how well Kasai can do.
Oh yeah.
Very confident in that list.
Very. That's a very comfy deck in general. Like I like
That's what I
playing
like
Kasai.
about it. I feel like that's why I've always loved it. It's always been my pet deck just because I feel like the cards just feel like they fight other decks very naturally, no matter what deck is in front of it. I don't feel like
Right.
it's like Chain where it's like, oh, it's Blitz, so I'm gonna run one Runic Reclamation for the few times I come across a Prism. Um and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like a 3 for 7 like the rest of the time, or like admittedly a lot of my Bravo deck or my Guardian decks in Blitz. I feel like Kasai, you're able to just that now. Some people might say like, oh, it's boring, the deck does the same thing every time. I don't know. I think there's a
I
sort
don't
of
think it
fun
does.
in.
Yeah.
I don't think it does either. I think it does. I think it looks the same. I think the way you play your hand and the way you kind of fake out different decks and like try to play into them is very different. And
Yeah. Because
I think even like the lines I play are different every time. Like
yeah. Because
I
like
don't ever
in
think I do the
Dorinthia,
same
I
thing.
feel a little samey because I am
Yeah.
just giving go again and attempting to give dominate so I can get the Dawnblade to hit to get through.
Well, Kasai for me always felt like the epitome of approaching the game like a fighting game,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's like I feel like Kasai has a lot of obvious moves. Like what the tools I have are to mess with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you don't know when they're going to come out or from where. So I get to be very smart about how I place those and about
Mm-hmm.
when I hit on the combat chain and about when I go through for big damage and when I think I can fake out the first swing or when I think I have to push it through a little more.
Yeah, I think I need to do some edits to my Kasai. Like I'm not I'm not a fan. I
The
can't.
thing, well, that's the thing I liked about it was, I felt that every change I made to the deck to make it more consistent made the deck better.
Yeah.
And a lot of the skill ceiling from the deck was after I made it as consistent. Obviously it's like riding a fine ratio line between like consistency and high and threshold for damage. But I always felt like getting that high threshold always came from me knowing where to place my cards.
Yeah.
And it feels like a deck that's very reliant on my own skill piloting it.
Yeah, yeah. And the one thing I thought was interesting is in Kasai is I don't like running Twinning Blade in that deck. Like,
Yeah, it's kind of just a mistake overall. I think like
yeah.
it's a trap. It looks like, oh, I can attack 3 times, but it's you gotta be able to give it go again twice. And I mentioned doing that with Nourishing Emptiness. You rarely have the gas to make that happen. You gotta have like 2 hit-and-runs or like a Blade Runner and a hit-and-run and a blue to pitch for it. And the deck's pretty lean on pitch as is. So
And the converse is I love having Twinning Blade in Dorinthia. Like Dorinthia loves
um,
Twinning Blade for me.
Dorinthia's built for it.
Yeah.
It basically allows you to get blocked out and still attack with the sword again, or
Yep.
even attack
Or
at the same
axes.
time. Or axes.
I've seen the axe build, and I am I am not Like so, like a lot of people were suggesting me using the Hatchet Body of Mind for Kasai, because some people have been running that, and I was like, I feel it's less consistent, right? Because like you're only ever getting a 3 on the second attack, whereas the sabers, which I love, they block, it's a 3. Period. Like,
But it's also the axes
hatchet,
can give you, if you can go into one of the hatchets, it's technically more if you get 3 swings in.
the hatchets are an entirely different kind of consistent with Dorinthia than they are with Kasai. And I
Yeah.
don't think there's really a reason to play them in Kasai, just because of the way Kasai works.
yeah,
Yeah, I would agree. I think axes is pretty restrictive to Bolton or Dory.
Yeah, I think they're fine with Bolton. I think the tier list of warriors with axes would go as Dory is the best, Bolton is
Yeah.
the second best, and Kasai is the absolute worst.
Bolton is really good with sabers combo.
I think so. I think so. My thing with Bolton is he's a warrior that runs attack actions, and I think that's gross.
yes, he does.
I love Bolton and I love his design, and I actually want to make a Bolton deck because as far as like just a visual like character design standpoint,
Mhm.
Bolton's one of my favorite characters in the entire game.
Yeah,
He's so
me too.
cool. But the thing is like just the way his deck plays, my favorite thing about Warrior is the interaction. It's the attack reactions. But Bolton
Well-
just he does a lot of straight damage. It's
Yeah,
great
and Bolton-
playing.
And Bolton axes, you run a lot of like Blade Runner. And what's the second swing?
I think I
It's
would
like
run Sabers Bolton though. If I had to
Yeah.
pick. I just like Sabers. I think they're cool.
Yeah, sabers is really good.
Centauri sabers are I think my second favorite weapons next to the Dawn Blade. I just like the idea of the Dawn Blade. It reminds me of like it reminds me of Gandalf, like look to the morning on the second day, and it's just like holding the sword up to the light, and I'm just like, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
Gandalf.
really
That's
like,
the vibe I get from a lot of Bolton art. He's very
Yeah.
he's very human paladin in D&D,
Yeah.
which,
Oh,
is
absolutely.
not what I play, but it's the vibe a
I'm
lot
here
of
for
people
it.
want to go for. Yeah.
I'm here for it. I think his I love Raiden Bolton.
Oh,
Mm.
that's the one I originally wanted to make Sabers combo, and that's what I started putting together. But I
Mhm.
mean, I feel like the take I've heard from a lot of people is just the more people seem to get into Flesh and Blood, and the more people really get deep into like what makes the game cool, the more they
Yeah.
like Raiden way more than they like Sabers.
Mm-hmm. I like
Well,
Raiden
they
Bolton.
always-
one
They
of
always
the
bring up the
dirtiest
same
things
thing,
I've seen
it's
is
that Sabers is like uninteractive, like for the
Yeah.
most part.
yeah. The dirtiest thing I've seen though is someone attacking with a Raiden for 0.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh.
then what do they do? They think they like Blade Runner did or whatever, and they just like the person didn't block it. It was like one card left in hand, or whatever, and it was like they were at like 1 life or whatever, and so it's like, do you have an attack reaction to buff your raid or not? Right? And they took the game and lost, and I was like, oh god.
Wait,
Yeah,
so
you
did
shouldn't do that. You
did-
shouldn't do that at 1 life. You should just block it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they razor reflex the 0?
Yes, that's it. They razor. Yeah, thank you. Razor Reflex is the name. They razor reflex the Raiden.
Oh yeah, because the one Blade Runner is on the next attack, not that attack.
Yes, yeah. They razor reflex the Raiden and got the person, and it was like, oof.
I like.
Yeah, blue Razor
I
Reflex
feel
will
like
get
I
that.
would have. I feel like I would have fully spiked the card. I feel like I would have like fully just like football spiked it, just like arm
Yeah,
like
You
wind
gotta
up,
be kidding
like,
me.
Pete Townsend like windmill strumming the guitar, just like
Mm.
smack it on the table. I would have
Yep.
walked away. I would have got up. I would have left the combat chain there. That's just
Just a zero attack Raiden coming at you.
just hitting for 0.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like
Not.
0 for 0.
Yep. I think the problem that I have with
Ruined.
Boltwin is that he's the split warrior, because you do still have to play those weapon buffs. You do still have to play to the weapon, but you also have to, if you want to get go again, you're going to have to get those Now off of his ability, I should say. Off of his ability, if you get go again, you're going to have to start using those attacks so you can charge. And
Yep.
I almost want to abandon the charge
Exactly.
mechanic entirely
Lack
with
of
Bolton.
focus. He's a warrior, and the entire warrior class does different things than Bolton wants to do.
Right.
That's why you turn one soul food.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
GG.
Turn one soul food.
I have a lot of playsets of cards like that I just have that are like just like okay cards that like work in
Soul food
niche
is like not a good
situations.
card, but it's like if you're just trying to combo as hard as you possibly can on sabers,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it can find a home.
Don't worry, guys. I'm bringing my Bolton Sabres deck to Pro Tour New Jersey.
Yeah.
I got my qualification. I got some secret tech that no one's ever heard of. That's gonna break the deck. This is actually the top deck in the format. See,
I've seen
I
some
found this.
people saying some Katsu.
I found this underrated card that no one knows about called Go Bananas. You see?
Oh, facts. Yeah. Is
Like,
that even CC? Is that even CC legal?
It's
No,
not. It's not legal.
I don't think it is,
anything.
right?
It's legal in UPF, and I'm so
Yeah,
terrified
okay.
of the fact that if I try to play in the UPF event at Pro Tour, someone's actually gonna be like, "I play Go Bananas," and they're gonna pull out 5 packs of Arcane Rising.
That is absolutely going to happen. But you have to name the card you want to pull, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
you do.
do. And
Yeah.
I feel like there's some psychopaths who like think they're original, but I feel like I'm gonna get like multiple of them at the table. They're gonna like point and laugh at each other. They're gonna be like, "Are you also brought Go Bananas? Did you bring your packs, sir?" "Yes, I did." "Oh my god, isn't this so funny?"
Yeah. They just bring a whole. They bring in a whole case out of their backpack.
If that happens to me, I'll just say, I'll say, "Hey, bet. If you don't get the card you named, I get everything else in the packs."
Mm.
Yeah, facts.
And they'll be like,
That's-
"Oh yeah," and I'll be like, "Oh yeah."
That's like some old school Magic Ante ideas.
Yeah, like what's the ante? Oh, it's my time walk.
Jeez. Back when
Uh.
Magic involved gambling.
Well, that's what I love about Go Bananas. I do genuinely want to see an actual Go Bananas played in a game.
I
of Flesh
can't
and
believe
Blood.
that thing's legal in UPF. Oh my
The
gosh.
only time I've seen it
I
played
wouldn't
is on DM Armada's YouTube channel of a Flesh and Blood game that he has on his channel where he does. I think it's Az from Gogan Gaming.
Mm-hmm.
He plays Go Bananas and just starts ripping open some packs. Does not find it.
It does not find it.
Does not find it. No. No.
It does.
I think he's
Alright,
playing as
guys.
Alien. He tries to find Rain Razors or something.
All right, guys, I'm stopping for my pack opening.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
So
History pack 1.
so is there?
History pack would be good though.
Yeah, it would.
High majestic density.
It is. Yeah, it's 12 per box.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean, it's 36 packs.
yeah,
I mean, it's pretty way
So
better
I
than
mean, assuming
a regular
for rate,
box.
assuming that like 8 per box was like what Everfest did, and that's 24 packs.
Mhm.
I
It's
mean, yeah, I
been-
mean like
it's
12 per
been
box
8
makes-
since Welcome. As far as like super rare and majestic
yeah
and above, it's been 8 since Welcome. So it was kind of cool to see 12. But
For a reprint set, that's what you want.
yeah, no,
Oh,
it's true.
absolutely.
That's true.
Yeah.
I actually I'm too optimized, not all the way, Katsu out of that and Reinar. And then I have some stuff for
Pretty
my
good.
dash that I could do.
Every
well.
every box break I've seen from History Pack 1 has either a Art of War, Command and Conquer, Enlightened Strike, or both.
Out of the 4 boxes that I've technically busted 3, my brother had 1, but he just gave me all the cards that he didn't want, which was all but 3. And I don't even remember what they were. But out of there was no Command and Conquers and 2 Art of Wars and 1 Enlightened Strike. So
In your boxes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds right.
so it's still
Sounds
pretty high, but I never got any Command and Conquers, and
And did you get any legendaries?
oh yeah, the Mask of Momentum.
Oh, right.
That's a
Yeah,
good one.
the legendary pull rates are something I've always wanted to see go up.
Yes.
I think it's I actually I don't even want to see legendary Polaris going. I want to see equipment shifting out of legendary into majestic.
Yeah.
I think that, yeah. Well, I think I just want to see both. I think I want to see
Yeah.
I want to see the price of legendaries creep down a bit, and I want to see because honestly, like the price of a legendary in the cases of some classes when I got into the game was about the price of a box. You
Yeah.
I
could
mean
like
that's what a
after
lot of them are, right?
yeah, and you could after you had like, you could after you had a full deck together after a couple weeks when you want to get more serious, kind of justify that purchase.
Right.
You could be like, oh, I could buy that $70 card. It's the
Yeah.
one piece I need. I don't need the Command and Conquers.
Right.
Yeah, that's like a thing, right? It's like
You
Command and
know,
Conquer isn't like is like good, but, like it's not necessary.
Nope.
it's not necessary.
Whereas like
I
the
like
equipment
that.
pieces are very much necessary.
I like that status for those like super expensive cards that keep the aftermarket of the game alive.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
just don't like when, in the case of Command and Conquer, they encroach upon necessary for the top level of play.
Yes. Yes. For
Yeah,
sure.
I think there's a lot more discussion around. I mean, is Command and Conquer actually that good?
That's what I've heard lately, and I think the answer is yeah. I guess theoretically it's not, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
think it's
Command and Conquer,
Yeah. There's so many things that do more than
obviously
6
I think
damage
it's
now.
Yeah.
definitely. I think well, I
being
think
crept
the other
out.
thing with Command and Conquer is I think it's a slot in that instantly gives you value, even if your
Hmm.
application of it is less skillful. It's a
Yeah,
card that is just good when you play it,
Yep.
if they have
no matter
Arsenal,
what. Yeah,
I
if they
think
have
it's
an
also I
if
think
they
it's
have an
also
arsenal,
especially with Crown of Seeds being so common right now.
yeah,
Ugh.
It feels like with Crown of Seeds you get rid of the value from CNC, and now you're just having a vanilla 6 like 2 for 6
Yeah.
I
because
think
they
the only
compared it.
deck I want to run CNC in that I'd consider making is Rhinar.
Yeah, yeah. And Reiner, I think Reiner is actually a pretty good dark horse for the Pro Tour too. Actually,
Maybe original, but I have a theory. I have a game theory about Rhinar.
Okay.
is it the Terra Limb? Is it the Terra Limb from Reiner?
No, it's
No.
not about Classic Constructed. Here's the thing: Rhinar in Classic Constructed, I actually don't think is the pick. He has traditionally been good into formats that are slow. He is the dismantler of slow formats. He's great because in a fast format, he gets dumpstered because he's really stupid because he's Rhinar and he's a brute, and that's what they do. That's what they're supposed
Hmm.
to do. But then you get these like high and mighty Ivory Tower freaking Prism control decks that dominate the format, and you have
Hmm.
Old Him, these big stompy Bravo decks that just are they puff their chests out and they're big and resplendent and beautiful. No, like Reinar's great because then you just like let this dumb fucking angry guy in there. He swings his arms around and they don't know how to deal with him. He just dumpsters these super slow control decks that
Yeah,
want to play the game slowly because he just says like, "Oh, you want to block me? Well, I'm gonna make that really awkward for you and
yeah,
make you block with the cards you don't want to block with."
yeah.
Yep.
Especially for Prism too, right? Because it's like, wow, you
Yeah.
Phantasm, it's all popped.
And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah. Hard
unless
counter to
like
Phantasm is brute. Period.
Yeah,
it is brute, and it's also guardian to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is like Reiner is going to be good if the meta leans very aggro.
Mm-hmm.
Which or if I mean it
Control.
not meta, if it leans control. The meta is going to lean aggro in CC.
yeah.
That's
Starvo especially.
basically the consensus. Yeah, Starvo is still around. A lot of people are underrating Prism, even if I still think Prism's very good. I still
Oh
think
yeah.
Chain beats it, and Chain is probably going to be the most represented deck. It just seems like the safest bet right now.
Well,
Um,
it Prism was the thing that toppled Chain in that Las Vegas tournament last year. Like,
Yep.
I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just talking about numbers and what the field's going to look like in
Yeah.
representation.
I mean-
It's still gonna be a lot of Starvos.
Now
Oh, yeah.
here's my crack theory. So what happened to Blitz recently was that it got slowed down, which in
Mhm.
my opinion means that without Viserai, Oldhim is the best deck in the format.
I would
Vis-
agree.
oh, I was
Viserai,
already dealing with old him too.
Viserai beat Oldhim, and that was why Oldhim wasn't the best deck. no one plays Prism and Blitz. I think Prism's super underrated in Blitz. I think more people should play Prism and Blitz. But
I
that's
think
because people
Yeah, I
won't
could
do
see
it.
that.
I think that maybe
Um,
like a heavier item, heavy dash, might be able to have a good thing into Oldhim, because eventually, because Oldhim's not going to kill you if he's
Wait, wait,
going
wait.
running speed. So like you
No.
can just hopefully build up a pretty good board.
So my
And,
And like
brother's
stuff like rotary ram and stuff like that to anti-fatigue tools and put it back on the bottom of your deck.
Yeah. So before any side tangents involved, my conspiracy theory is I basically think Oldhim is going to be seen at the time by the meta as the best and probably one of the more represented decks at the Pro Tour's Battle Hardened event. And my cracked theory is that Rhinar is going to win Battle Hardened. I think a legit fucking Rhinar is going to walk away with it.
They look good.
Not
you
me.
can be
I'm
floor
thinking
level
not.
reporter on that one.
Listen,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think Rhinar is the conspiracy theory of the Blitz
Okay.
format. However, what's going on with this item dash list?
So I was going to say, my brother, his best deck, he has two decks that he uses when we play Blitz. One is KO, and the other one's Dash. And his Dash is nasty, because he does, because we're not commoner, we're not restricted to we're not he's not restricted to our mere common list, and he plays.
Gloves are off. I can play Heart of Fiendal.
No.
Yes.
He doesn't have any legendaries, but he plays what's the one that if you boost 3 times it has 10?
Maximum velocity.
Maximum.
Yeah, that's a super
I
fun
have a
card.
foil one.
He
I
legitimately
yeah.
plays that and destroys. He destroys the old him. Like the old
I
him
actually
cannot
think
handle that.
I think that card is like really good if you're just a purely aggro dash list.
He is. He
It's
has
pretty easy to
no.
be.
He's like hardly any items. He's got all, because this is my commoner is pseudo based off of what he did, except it just doesn't have his top end, and he's got like 0 to 60 and like T-bone and all the like low cost things, and he gets stuff for free, and then he just like he's like swing for 6. Oh, okay. Swing for 4. Oh, jeez. All right, please stop. Swing for 3.
Yeah, Tackle Pounder.
Yeah. And then he's like, swing for 3. And I'm like, I'll block that. Okay. Now swing for 10. Oh, gosh, I'm dead. Like, what do I do?
Yep. Especially in Blitz. In Blitz, when like Tackle Pounder dash can put out a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of pressure in Blitz.
Moonblade, no arcane.
Yeah. Essentially.
Essentially.
You said, yeah. So
It's not split damage.
The arcane damage.
And then his KO
Important
deck.
part, but-
His KO deck is also just terribly nasty. Now, the 2 times I've played against him in the last event we were at, which is last Wednesday, I won because he rolled bad. But he had a match where he rolled every attack was a 6, and he was like, "Hey, I'm coming in for 18." And then they're like, "Oh, geez."
How does he feel about ready to roll?
Yeah.
All of them.
And
All
then,
of them.
and then he attacked with the 2 mandibles, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And then like old him, of course, he's still alive because he blocked everything out. But old him took like, I think he ended up taking a total of 14 off of that interaction. So he lost all his cards. So he was like, "Okay, draw 4, your turn." And my brother goes, and he's like, "All right, this attack again, rolls 24." And then
That's right.
and then he's just like, "What?" That guy stopped coming. He stopped coming to our events. Like,
oh no.
24. Man, Blood Rush Bellows is such a good card.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I love Brute so much.
It's fun.
It's a treat. I think Kaio is great too. I think the fact that he can just do that to you for like no reason, just because he can. I like that Blitz has those decks. I know a lot of people say this hurts the competitive integrity of the format. I think those people are afraid of Benji and should just take being killed on turn 1 without having a chance to play a card like a man.
All right.
Oh, Benji.
You know what? I'm excited to have an adult ninja because we've had so many young ninjas, right? So we got
Yeah,
Benji,
that's
we got
true.
Ira.
Fucking kids out of here. I
Yeah.
want to play my grown-up Zuko. I want to
Yeah, that's
Oh
exactly
my
who
gosh.
I is.
I cannot believe how much they are both Zuko and Azula. Like
Yeah, I love
straight up,
them.
like
It feels almost like copyright infringement.
yeah. We were like, did they get
Yeah.
a deal with Nickelodeon or something? Like, what's going
Feels-
on?
Feels almost like I'm just not gonna say anything to Nickelodeon. I'm just gonna pretend like, yeah, this is
Yeah,
fine. This
James
is an
White
original
said,
character.
this is all original.
Hey, can I cut? It is great though. I genuinely like.
Yeah.
I like it unironically when works just like are really on the nose with their influences.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I can
Like I don't
get behind
need
it.
Fab to be like it's a trading card game. Like I don't need it to be like this
Super serious.
insanely like refined art house production of an art
Right,
piece.
and that's why
The
people.
sorcery is for.
And I think
Yeah.
the idea that like someone at LSS was just like, I want to play a Zuko, and now we have Zuko in the game. Basically, is
Yeah.
really cool. I
Like,
think it's
Yeah.
awesome.
He's
We could just
he's
do
a
that.
ninja that's kicking fire. How is he not like? And he's got a scar over his
Yeah.
eye. How is
Yeah,
he
no.
not him? Like 100%.
literally Zuko.
And like the only thing that we really have going for the Azula clone is the whole look.
Yeah.
We don't really, she didn't have dragons, right? If she had lightning,
I'm just following the footsteps for her. I like her look. I want to dress like that. I want to be like that. I want to.
those are some killer
Yeah.
heels.
I want the heels. I want the heels really bad. And I really
Yeah.
want to do whatever combo shenanigans she's capable of.
Yeah. And you know what? And dragons.
That's
Dragons.
also
All you need to say. Dragons.
I own several items in my room that I don't own because they're like practical or useful, just because they have dragons on them.
oh sure, yeah.
Dragons.
I'm very
Oh, yeah.
excited for that.
I mean, this is like a permanent desk ornament for me. And if you're unfamiliar with Monster Hunter, this is a dragon for Monster Hunter.
There we go. Dragons.
Dragons.
Yep.
Oh yes.
Dragons are sick.
Nergigante, the spiky boy.
The spiked one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just like I can't believe how close they are. Like I was showing some of my friends who aren't in Flesh and Blood. I was like, "Hey, look, they made Azula."
Yep.
If you guys are familiar with Diablo 3, the female voice for the wizard is the same voice actress as Azula. So I name every
Oh.
female wizard in Diablo 3 Azula, and she is
Interesting.
only a fire sorcerer in my
Very nice.
builds. So
That's so fun.
Very
That's
nice.
awesome. Yeah, I think the new hero. I think they're gonna be great. I think both of
Yeah.
them are gonna be really cool. There's talk about a fourth hero. A lot of people are throwing a lot of thoughts around.
yeah,
I think everyone who says that Shiana is going to get support or there's going to be some sort of Shiana is an insane person. I know she's
she
present
gets
in
support
lore.
with every set. It's called specializations.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
cool. I guess she could be a completely different archetype that I guess wasn't implied that much, or wasn't implied. I don't know. Maybe
I
it
don't
is.
think there's actually a fourth hero.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm
think there
on
is
the
either. But
fence. I hope
I-
there is because I don't
You know
want to
what?
see the Icelander drafts. Like that's gonna be rough.
That's why. That's why I think there's going to be a fourth one. I genuinely think. I have a theory. I think it's Ice Brute. I think we're getting a Yeti, and I want a Yeti. I think it'd be really cool. Imagine how sick that would be. Imagine
be
you
pretty
just had
cool.
this, like, imagine you just had this like abominable snowman.
An
Like,
abominable snowman with a dragon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just riding a
No, it's
dragon.
Well, it's like
Yeah.
I can see the draft dynamic they're going for, where the draconic talent really wants red cards, and the ice
Icelander wants
talent,
blue.
yeah, the ice talent obviously really wants blue ones.
Oh,
Yeah.
those poor
Um,
yellows. Only Prism cares about yellows.
Well, Bolton sort of. It's
Yeah.
actually it's
Bolton
well.
wants a lot of
this is
yellows.
the thing is, Bolton, like we discussed a while ago, has zero focus as a character. Prism has a ton of focus, and that's why she's super good. And that's on the light talent. The light talent is fantastic, fantabulous. And it does great things with yellow pitch. So you know,
Right.
it looks like we got this weird dynamic of like we got draconic light and I guess ice.
Hmm.
And other talents might just arbitrarily
Well,
assign themselves
it's not
colors or
it's not ice, it's
fly.
elemental, and then she has an ice text. So
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know, maybe. I'm just thinking of like
Oh yeah,
the
the essence of
heroes
ice.
they could
Mhm.
add in, and I mean they've been hinting it that they want to make more illusionists for a while, so I'm not surprised
Yeah.
at illusionists. However, I think most of the sets and most of what they're going to be doing in the future are going to be kind of buffing that like bottom end of the tier list. Like think about it,
Ninja.
we got a ranger in the last set.
Yep.
Runeblade and Guardian, we're gonna ignore the fact that they were super overpowered. That's
Yeah.
neither here nor there. But you know, we have a ninja, we have a wizard, which isn't good. Ninja is kind of near the bottom of the tier list, and you know, imagine we get a brute also.
Absolutely.
Imagine that. Like maybe this could be the brute buff. Maybe we get an ice
That's
brute that makes frostbites in brute. I think that could
Hmm.
actually work.
that's what I
I
love.
think it would work. I think it would work. I think it would work well.
Yeah, I might have to do a thing or two, but I'm also trying to think of how it would interact with some of the cards that are already around. But I
It might
mean,
be Vice Boot might be a little bit much because it's already like intimidates and now you're adding control elements on top.
yeah,
Yeah.
but maybe it's like the
Uber.
But
control. Maybe in typical brute fashion, it discards even more cards, and it like super hinders itself. And also, the thing is, actually, wait. Brute wants to run 6 cost things and blue
6
cards
attack, yeah.
in Brute or 6 attack. Yeah, no, that wouldn't happen. No, unless they
Maybe.
made it happen anyway. They could
Yep.
surprise me. What even would that? I've heard assassin thrown around. I've heard that like this could be the assassin set.
I've heard it says something around because they're mentioned in lore, in, like some of the lore books.
Yeah.
I've heard the theory that Shiana is the ice assassin, but I'm just like, really?
I don't buy it.
I don't
She's a
see
Shiana is, like, has a
shapeshifter.
very clear.
Yeah.
Right, she's a shapeshifter. She's very clearly like a political force.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
That's
gonna
why she's like the
I'm
whole
gonna
point. She's why she's in all the lore stories because she's this
eat
point
a
of political
chew on
power.
live stream if Shiana is in the next set as a playable hero with at token rarity.
Mm.
I'll do it. I'll eat
Maybe.
the whole two.
I just think Shiana. Like, I think they'll probably keep Shiana as that legendary young hero from Crucible.
I think so too, and I think
Yeah.
that's very cool. I like Shiana in the meta, and I hope that
Shiana's my most expensive pull so far.
That's a really good pull.
My most expensive pull is just Tunic.
Mm.
Nothing crazy, just $100 card.
Yeah, mine is definitely Mask Momentum.
Yep.
Although one of my favorites is definitely the extended Arcane Lantern.
Oh wait, I got
That's
I
a
got
good one. I have one of those
That
too.
just looks so beautiful.
I
Yeah.
got from an unlimited pack of Arcane Rising, just a stray pack. I got a foil Command and Conquer one time.
That's a really good value.
Ooh.
And I also got one time from a box of Everfest. It was great. I bought a box of Everfest, and then I was like, my bank account can handle another one after the set came out, so I got another one, and I actually made my money back on that one off one pull. I got a full art pulverize.
Oh, that's
Ooh.
awesome.
Wow.
So I actually sold that when I was getting some legendaries for some decks I wanted to make.
That's awesome. Yeah, the full art Arcane Lantern is just so beautiful.
It is. It is. I put it in something just because it's got to be in something.
Yeah, I've got it right here. I want to run it in my just so.
Oh
So
yeah.
pretty.
I Valdemired into someone who had recently just like that day, I guess, spent the $70 or whatever on the full art Earthlore bounty.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
And I stomped their Valda deck and I felt bad.
Yeah, not pay to win.
Because I'm really good at Valda.
I was going to say, I think I actually have 2 Shianas, and I was actually looking to offload one at the calling that I went to, but no one wanted it. So I was like, all right,
I-
fine.
Weird.
You gotta.
Yeah.
It's a card that requires you to own a lot of card pool in order to.
Yeah, and I was like,
That's quite true.
she is the card that says I'm never building all the young heroes. Like she is the one card that I'm like, this is my limit. I'm not doing this. Now,
Yeah.
because I play so much more Blitz now because of the league I'm in, in person. I used to be like, I'm going to build every adult hero, focus on one adult, and then that's it. I'll just play whatever Blitz I have. Now my new strategy is, all right, I'm going to focus on 2 decks per set and one classic constructed and 1 Blitz.
That's what I'm doing at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to start rotating stuff out. I might rotate out Valda instead of Kasai because I like Kasai more than Valda. So
Fair.
I may just
Honestly,
make my warriors
I-
evergreens.
Kasai is. I mean, Valda is gimmicky and incredibly matchup dependent.
Mm-hmm. It
Nice,
is.
good.
That's the rough part about Valda. Valda, obviously good. Why wouldn't I just play Bravo when I can turn on Dominate whenever I want? But
Yep.
also, I've played the Dravo build. Now you do feel not being able to draw off your opponent's card draws. Like you feel it, but
Mhm.
I guess it's technically more consistent. And Showtime is a lot of good value.
Yes. Showtime is amazing. It's a good card.
Mhm.
Especially in the Earthlore build.
Yep.
Just straight value.
I did actually look at some of my decks to see what I have because like I know I'm gonna be looking through and probably possibly editing Dash while I get pull some stuff out of her to play for the Commoner League because I need that shotgun.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
commit. I'm gonna commit a grave sin. My main Commoner deck once I find it. I'm gonna play with it unsleeved. Because
Mm.
Commoner is my opportunity to do that. I've always loved the idea
That's
of
true.
like making the radical statement that like yes we use our cards incredibly earnestly as playthings and we wrap them in a rubber band and we bridge shuffle these things and we like
problem-
they're game pieces but also like I'm not going to do that with my legendaries so a
No, God,
commoner
no.
deck is a really I think cute time to do that. You just have this pile of commons where you're just like
That's one of the great things about Keyforge.
exactly
Deck is worth nothing except to
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
It's
No,
true.
I love having individual cards or like card decks where I'm just like I'm gonna desecrate this. I leave this unsleeved. Like this is my
Yeah.
personal thing. This is my Pokemon deck from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Uh,
The only value in these pieces is sentimental to me.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's what I love about Commoner is I feel like because the cards are so worthless, there's such an added like they mean so much to me though.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
Yeah,
my
for sure.
$10 deck.
hmm
I'm not sure
For
I
sure.
can play unsleeved. I feel like my brain is just like we must protect them, even if they're commons.
I just
I get
don't
that.
generally like playing unsleeved because the feel of the cards, like shuffling, doesn't feel very good.
Oh, I love it. I don't know why, but there's something about it that's just so like
These cards don't feel as good as like bicycle playing cards to shuffle.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. They don't have that.
Right? They just
That's
don't
really it.
feel good.
smooth.
Well, they're not.
Right,
They're not
so, like-
plastic like the bicycle cards.
No, yeah, exactly. They're more cardboardy, so they don't feel nearly as good to shuffle.
I
That's
hate
what
the
I'm
feel of
sleeved.
cardboard. Period. So I don't.
I wonder how shit my opponents would feel at Pro Tour if I pull up, sit down across from them, bridge shuffle my deck, and then beat them with it.
Probably pretty bad.
Yeah, that'd be a
that's
Pretty
story.
bad.
That'd be a story they carried on the rest of their life. Like,
It's about
look,
the mind
look at
game.
this jerk coming sitting down on my table, bending all their cards. Like, what? What's
Like there's just like you just actually I don't even know if you could. I don't think you can actually do that at a tournament.
Can
I
you
believe
not?
it.
Do you have to sleeve?
No,
them?
they have to be in opaque. They have to be in opaque sleeves.
Oh,
Oh,
they'll
you might
keep
be
them
right.
like-
That's tournament rules. Yeah,
Those
they have to be in
are-
opaque sleeves because then you could like nick a card. You know which one's
yeah,
which.
they're very
Yeah.
strict about marking cards.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'll play them in sleeves then. I
Cause-
can't just sit across from someone and be like,
No,
I-
you can get because you can get called on like the Dragon Shield Classics. Those ones, if you get like the white ones,
Mhm.
oh,
they can be a bit see through. So you can get judge call on that. and need to resleeve your deck. That's why the Dragon Shield dual mats are the way they are, so that they can't be like they are fully opaque.
Yeah, they're like, okay, that's sad.
Yeah,
That's
those are just German regulations right there.
Yeah, so I actually learned something really cool, and I don't know if you guys know this, but do you know the hidden card error fix? This is one of the coolest things to me as far as rules go in Flesh and Blood. So if you
I
see
didn't
an
know that.
extra, do you know? So if you see an extra card, like you draw an extra card, right? And so let's say like you two are
I
against
know
each other. So if
There's a rule.
if Murph draws an extra card, you reveal your hand to Arafel, and
Oh, which
they pick one card, as many cards as are extra, and you get to put it on the top or bottom, Arafel. That is the fix for seeing
Oh.
extra cards in this game. It is,
That's so
interesting.
cool.
yeah. Like instead of just being like, oh, I
That's-
put it back. Like no, like when you're at the calling, you might want to look up some of these rules because they can be pretty strict about like.
I've seen resolutions of that where people say like they'll just shuffle it into the top 5.
Yeah,
Like they'll just shuffle that card back into the top 5.
What if my
that's
hand is
that's
shit?
technically not what's supposed to happen. You're supposed
Yeah,
to show
interesting.
your hand and every
But
extra
what if-
card.
What if though, counterpoint, my
Mhm.
hand is garbage and I say, okay, I want to cycle a card.
Oh no.
don't think-
You purposely draw an extra card on accident.
I'm sorry, my B.
I don't think that I don't. But then you could be drawing the card you draw could be the good one.
That's a good point. Because they
That's a
do
good point.
that.
If you got a terrible hand, you must have good ones somewhere, right?
You're right.
And
you're
they
right.
get to pick. And they get to
And if they
know.
get picked, and
Yeah.
if it is a combo piece, then they can just be like, haha, plunk your whole line.
Bottom of deck.
Yep.
Bottom of the deck.
Bottom.
You're
Like
playing
but
concert,
I-
they take your Woven Gust Wave and just
Is that-
tuck it to the
is that-
bottom.
If that does happen, I get to pick. That's the
Yeah,
important
it's
thing.
just for you.
hmm
I love that so much.
Yeah, there's some cool rules in this game that I think they've thought this out quite well. That's another thing is like me trying to become because I am a certified level 0 judge. So like when I was at the we did one what are those bigger events called? Skirmish? Yeah, I did a
Yeah.
skirmish.
Yeah.
And they were like, judge, and they were like, technically no one here's a judge. And actually I was like, I am. You know, even though I'm one of the players, I'm like, I'm a level 0 certified judge. And there was a judge call with the Oldham player who he was getting a card intimidated out of his hand, and he was trying to instant not staunch response. What's the instant that prevents damage?
Steadfast.
Steadfast. Yeah.
So he was trying to steadfast nothing. And I was like, you can't do that. That's not
Well, that's the thing. It prevents
Yeah.
damage.
from a source. From a source. So like you have to pick a source. And
No, here's the thing. It prevents damage the source would deal.
yeah. He didn't have a source
Let
to
me look it
pick.
up right now.
It's not that he's preventing damage. It's the fact that he didn't have a source to pick. So like literally the
So-
guy
So he played it on the intimidate.
yeah.
Or why?
Because he was going to get it intimidated out of his hand. He was worried about it being intimidated, and it was. So
So it's like, okay, I guess you could play it. It's an instant. It would depend on which one resolves first. Was he trying to cycle a card? That's a weird interaction.
yeah, it's weird. But the thing was, he didn't have anything to. So he what
Whenever
the
card.
the brute player played a buff, right? Didn't play an attack, played a buff that intimidated.
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
right.
And so like the intimidation goes to happen. He's like, okay, I'm going to staunch response this. And he's like, you can't. Because there's nothing to just to
Nothing
prevent.
Steadfast. Yeah.
Yeah. Or sorry, steadfast. I'm going to steadfast this. And it was just like, they called me over. I was like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, there's nothing for you to essentially target. Like, I don't know what you're trying to
Right.
prevent.
So it doesn't work the same as
Prevent
Crown of
the
Thieves, for
next
example.
6
Right.
damage that would be dealt to your hero.
By a source.
So I guess the question would be like, could you pitch the card to play it? But at that point,
Oh no, because it's an instant, you can still like speed. There's not a problem with speed on that interaction. Like you can
Oh yeah,
there's not a problem
by
with
a source of your choice. Yep.
yeah. So like, what are you going to choose? I guess you
So
could
you
choose the
play-
weapon, but
you pitch 3. There's nothing to stop that, and basically, nothing happens. It
Mhm.
goes to discard.
yeah. Like so, I don't even
Yeah.
know what he was trying to do. Like I was just like,
He just instead of getting rid of it,
he was trying to get value out of it just in case it was needed, but he was trying to
My
the way he was
last
talking
act
about it.
defiance.
Yeah. He was trying to basically convince me to allow him to look at the opponent's hand and prevent whatever next attack was coming. And I was
Whoa,
like,
oh,
I was
he
like,
trying.
no.
Was that it? Was he trying to convince you to like undo the buff from like whatever it was? It must have been like some sort of bellow,
Yeah.
like awakening bellow.
Yeah, I don't remember what the card was specifically. I know it wasn't an attack, and it was
That's-
causing an intimidate. And I was just like, dude, I don't. No, you can't. Like, what are you gonna?
can't do that.
What are you gonna prevent?
That
What
is
are you,
absolutely a way a human person playing the game Flesh and Blood, made by Legend Story Studios, could go about things. They certainly could play the card. I'm saying, like, there's not a rule that says they can't.
no,
play
they could play it,
But-
but they were trying to convince me that they were going to prevent damage.
Yeah, of course.
And I
but,
was like, no, you're not. Like, so I've already had to do judge questions. And at least, hey, I'm level 0. Like, you can actually look up my gem ID and you'll see I'm a level 0 judge. Like,
There you go.
I mean, if judge questions are like that, I could probably be a judge.
They're
What's
not.
the-
There's some weird ones.
He's double zero judge.
Sorry.
What are the
It's
tests?
fairly like it's not too bad to become
No.
a level 0 judge.
No, level 0 judge is actually super easy. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just
Level 1's a little bit is more work.
yeah, I have taken the test 3 times. The first 2 times I missed by 1 question. I took it yesterday and I missed by 4 or 5. They changed
How
the
often
exam
are you able to take it?
It's
Once
as
a
much
month.
as you want. Once a month.
once a month.
That's it.
Once a month.
And before this new judge program they started, you had to directly contact them. So
Wow.
I was directly contacting them. I have a
Send them an email.
oh yeah. I mean, you do it through their system. Like you're not just like making an email. You're like, I'm going to submit a form, and it goes to their email, and they email you back, and they're like, Fortwine, please, we appreciate your interest. Here is the test. Don't share it with anybody. And like I took the test. The second time I took it, I had COVID, and I was so proud of myself of still almost passing. So I was like, yeah.
Well, almost. Next
Oh,
time.
I've certainly thought about taking it. I don't know if I will. I've thought about it.
Well, for me, being a pseudo tournament organizer, it
It's
allows
important for you to be
Yeah.
also a judge.
yeah, and I'm the only level 0 in the town as far as I know.
Right.
So that helps too. And I want to try to get level 1 just so I can understand things, because as a Magic player when I played, I didn't care. I didn't care at all. So, you know, I didn't. I'm just more interested in this one.
I get you.
Is there anything else that we would like to cover tonight?
Not that I can think of really. I mean, we've got quite a lot, so.
Oh yeah.
The only thing I was thinking of was doing a quick go over of the prize support for the league.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one.
You go ahead and do
Oh.
that. I haven't looked actually. I know that there was the
Yeah.
deck box stuff, but that was it.
So I know. So the big one, obviously, it's a big name, which is Smithel was
Mhm.
was in contact with Quiver.
Mhm.
So they're getting a product of choice, the league winner.
Yes.
So it sounds like what's on the table is you can get a quiver deck carrier, one of the bolts, deck sleeves, deck boxes, kind of like whatever you want. Pick of the litter.
Mhm.
And then I know Smithville's also giving out one pack, an assortment of packs, but one per week as a participation
Mm.
prize. So
Okay.
you're basically everyone in the league is entered into it as long as they complete their match for the week.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So that's also a really cool one. So just for participating, you could pull a CNC from your Arcane Rising,
Sweet.
and yeah, so it's super cool prize support, and it's actually it's really generous for a completely free Commoner League.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, considering it's the cheapest league you can join, and has some pretty good prize support.
If there was anything.
It's true.
I was like, yeah, I'm here to just play some games.
Yeah, everyone signed up to play some games. They got some really good prize support.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I'm happy we're going to be covering it too here.
Well,
And
that's gonna be so fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun to see the some of the data roll in from Smithville,
Mhm.
because I know he's trying to capture that in the match reports.
haven't played this format yet.
So yeah, no, it's gonna be really really fun to see what comes in.
I'm
Okay.
looking forward to it.
me too. Yeah, he convinced me to join. Like I joined the Discord because I was on Twitter. I was like, I need to find people to talk to Flesh and Blood about because like my Monster Hunter circle, like one guy plays and we don't get to play together. So like it's just like, okay, I need to find people, and then he directed me here to this Discord. And he's like,
Yeah, there you go.
I was like, but I don't play Commoner. And then he did some gif of some guy having a heart attack. And I was like, I'm sorry. And then I was like, okay, I'll try it. It's free. I built the deck for 350. It's good, because I offloaded all of my bulk. I'm no longer doing that. I'm keeping all of my bulk now because I build so many decks now. So,
Oh yeah, that's what I like about Commoner. They just
Yeah.
make everyone in the game.
yep.
Yep. And also you can make everyone optimized.
Yeah,
It's all super cheap.
it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Well,
Like what the most expensive card you're gonna have is a foiled rare.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's equipment only. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So, or
Well-
like a foiled at all that costs you $3.
I have 2 of those.
I actually recently ordered one because they're I just wish Adderall was like slightly better.
Yeah.
Slightly.
I've heard that from a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for making this podcast a reality.
Yeah, of course.
Any next week, same time.
Well, yeah. And we're going to try to do this every week, and probably still on Mondays. We're still trying to flesh out minor details, but we got it going today. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you later.
All right, sounds good.
Have a good night, everyone.